We are back with more Lord of Mysteries novel. We are house hunting right now. Benson game last or a few chapters ago. We have the money. Klein also was offered to become a Beyonder by Don Smith. He has a choice between Seer, Marauder, and Apprentice, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we know what he's gonna choose, right? So yeah, let's keep reading. Chapter 30, brand new beginning. I'm guessing we are actually buying our house this time. So let's start. 2, 4, and 6 Daffodil Street were terrace buildings with multi-faced hipped roofs. Their exteriors were painted grayish blue and 3 chimneys stood erected. This place obviously did not have lawns, gardens, or porches. The entrance directly faced the street. Dingen City Housing Improvement Company Scarter took out a bunch of keys and while opening the door introduced, our terraces, houses do not have foyers. I think that's the accent they gave him. I forgot, but I think so. So you enter direct in the living room. There's an oriel window facing Daffodil Street, so that's pretty good lighting. Okay. And we can imagine what the house looks like from Don Qua, right? I think it's pretty similar to the description of the novel. Klein, Benson, and Melissa were greeted by fabric sofa bathing in the golden rays of the sun, and an area more spacious than their previous 2-bedroom apartment. Okay. This living room can be used as a guest hall. To its right is a dining room, and on the left is fireplace that will keep you warm in winter. Scarter pointed around with great familiarity. Oh yeah, renting. You're right. You're renting. Klein looked around and confirmed that it's a crude, open-style concept. Oh, as in like the kitchen is with the living room? That kind of open style? The dining room and the living room were not separated by any partitions, but they were also far from the oriel window, making those spots rather dim. I low-key I know like a lot of apartments and houses have the kitchen connected to like a living room or the dining room, right? I like how if the kitchen is a separate room, because I use a lot of like spices and stuff in my cooking, it just smells if it's connected to the dining room. I'm doing good, thank you, Silver. The dining room and the living room were not separated, but they were also far from the window, making those spots rather dim. Okay. There's a rectangular red wooden table surrounded by 6 hardwood chairs with soft cushions. The fireplace on the left wall looked exactly like the ones in foreign movies and TV series that Klein used to watch. Oh, interesting. So is it foreign as in like Western style or what? The anime they made seem like they lived in a white palace. When I saw the anime in episode like 2 or 3, I think episode 2 at the end after it's in the house, I was like, is this really middle class? This looks like higher middle class or like lower upper class, you know? Behind the dining area is the kitchen, but we do not provide any appliances. Opposite of the living room is a small guest room and the bathroom. Scarter walked around and described the remaining layout of the house. The bathroom was separated into 2 parts. The outer area was where one would wash their face and brush their teeth, while the inner area was the toilet. There was an accordion door that separated them. The guest room was described to be small, but it was as big as the room that Melissa currently stayed in. Wow, she was stunned at the sight. You haven't seen upper class? I have seen outre. What is that? People underestimate what middle class really means. True. The I live in a commie building, right? As in like one of those like 9-story houses that made with panel, right? I would say like I'm not lower class, but like I'm pretty well off. I'm gonna show you my neighborhood, Wayne. Open image. I don't know if you can see this, but I live like in one of these houses, right? Like one of these houses. Or apartments, sorry. And I am renting as well, right? The bathroom was separated into 2 parts. The outer area was where one would wash their face and brush their teeth, while the inner area was the toilet. There's an accordion door to separate them. The guest room was described as small, but it was the biggest room that Melissa couldn't stay in. She was stunned at sight. After looking around the first floor, Scarter brought the 3 siblings to the stairway next to the bathroom. Down below is the underground cellar. It is quite stuffy downstairs, so you must remember to let some fresh air in the first before entering. Ooh, mold. That's a recipe for disaster. Benson nodded casually and followed Scarter to the second floor. On my left, there's a bathroom on the same side. There are additional 2 bedrooms. Oh, sheesh. Same layout on my right, but the washroom on this side is next to the balcony. As he spoke, Scarter opened the bathroom door and stood sideways, so that he would not obstruct Klein, Benson, and Melissa from looking in. The bathroom had an extra bathtub like the other bathroom. There was an accordion door next to the toilet. Ooh, interesting. Although it was a little dusty, it was dirty. It wasn't dirty, smelly, or cramped. Okay. Dusty, maybe that means that it hasn't been stayed in before. Melissa looked in a daze until Scarter walked to the bedroom next to it. Only then did she stop looking and follow the rest slowly. She took another few steps before looking back. Klein, who was experienced in life, was delighted and excited as well. Even though their landlord often supervised their cleaning up of the bathroom, it still was not clean enough. It was often nauseating, let alone the fact that they would easily encounter a line when they needed to relieve themselves. If shared bathrooms go dirty really quickly, right? What's up, Adam? The other bathroom was similar. One of the 4 bedrooms was slightly bigger and was furnished with a bookcase. The rest were about the same size of each other and had a bed, table, and wardrobe. Okay. The balcony is very tiny. So you won't be able to try too many clothes in the sun at a time. Scotter stood at the end of the door corridor and pointed to a spot with a door and a lock. There's a complete underground drainage, as gas piping, meter, and other facilities. It's very suitable for you gentlemen and a lady like yourself. It only requires 13 soldi of rent and 5 pence for use of the furniture weekly. In addition, there is deposited amounts to 4 weeks of rent. Holy shit, wait, that sounds like a scam. There's a complete underground drainage. Okay, that's good. Gas piping, meter, and other facilities. It only requires 13 soldi. You're charging them extra to use the furniture? Ooh. Without waiting for Benson to say a word, Klein looked around and asked curiously, roughly how much would it cost to buy the house? Oh my god, Chad. As a transmigrator from the Foodaholic Empire, desire to buy property still existed within him. Why do they keep referring China to Foodaholic Empire? Is there like a specific reason for that? Let me close some stuff that doesn't have to be open. Upon hearing that question, Benson and Melissa were shocked. They looked at Klein as though they were seeing a monster. Scatter replied calmly and firmly, "Buy? No, we do not sell property. We only provide rental properties." I'm just trying to have general sense of the prices, Klein explained awkwardly. Scatter hesitated for a few seconds before saying, "Last month, the owner of 11 Tuftle Street sold a limited period land deed of similar properties sitting atop land £300 for 15 years. It is much cheaper than renting directly, but not everyone can fork out such a large amount of money. If one would like to buy it over completely, the owner posted price is $850. So you lease it for 15 years. Interesting. And if you wanna own it, 850. Okay, that's interesting. 850 pounds. So right now, Klein is earning £3 a week. A weekly pay is £3. So he needs £3 a week times 4. That's £12 a month. 300 divided by 12. 25 months of work. And let's say he saves all his money. Damn, that's actually a really good price for a house, by the way. Oh, that's for 15 years though. Anyway, the house price market in Loan is really good. 850 will be how many months though? That's just assuming he doesn't spend any money. It'll be 70 months, which is nearly 6 years. I My weekly pay is £3, pensioners £1 and 10 solly, rent is 13 solly, and if we eat well every day, we will spend nearly £2 a week. On top of that, there are expenses such as clothes, transportation, social expenditures, so on and so forth. So forth. We can only save less than 20 solly a week. 1 year adds up to £35, and £50 would require more than 20 years. Even if we bought the land for a limited period of time, the policy will take us at least 8 or 9 years. That doesn't include getting married, living independently, raising children, traveling, and so on. Yeah, true. There are 4.3 weeks. Actually, there are 4.3 weeks a month. Yeah. I was roughly. In a world without individual housing loans, most people are likely to opt for rental. Realizing this, he stepped back and saw the clans of Benson. He beckoned him to talk to Carter about their rent. Oh my god, let's go, Benson. Let Benson cook. As for Melissa's intentions, they were obvious from her bright eyes. At that moment, Klein suddenly thought of letting Benson loose. Oh my god, unchain Benson! Seriously, Benson is gonna be unchained. Benson tapped his plain cane and looked around before he said, "We should take a look of other houses. The dining area's lighting isn't good and the balcony is very small. Look, on that bedroom has a fireplace and the furniture is too old. If we move in, we have to at least change half of these." Oh my god, he's cooking. He pointed out faults in a hurried tone, spending 10 minutes to persuade Carter to lower the rent to 12 soldi. Ooh, and the furniture usage fee to 3 pence, while rounding up their deposit to £2. Okay, let's see what he says. Without further ado, the siblings returned with Carter to the Ting and City Housing Improvement Company and signed 2 copies of the contract. Oh my god, it worked? It's spending 10 minutes and it worked. Oh my god. Then they headed over to the notary office of Ting and City to notarize the contract. Wow. Benson is the goat for real. After paying the deposit and first week's rent, Klein and Benson remaining money added up to £9, 2 solly and 8 pence. Good stuff, Benson. Standing before the door of 2 Daffodil Street, they each held a bunch of copper keys. They were momentarily unable to look away, their emotions churning within them. Aww. Feels like a dream. After a while, Melissa lifted her head to look at the future Moretti residence, and she spoke with a low yet subtle voice. Unsteady voice. Benson let out a breath and smiled. Then don't wake up. Damn. Klein wasn't as emotional as they were. He nodded and said, "We need to change the locks on the main door and balcony door as soon as possible." There's no hurry. The reputation of Ting and City Housing Improvement Company is very good. The rest of the money is for your formal suit. However, before that, we need to pay Mr. Frankie a visit. Oh my god. Benson pointed in the direction of the apartment. He's gonna cook even more. He's unstoppable. Nobody can stop Benson. The siblings made do with rye bread at home before heading for a terrace apartment on Iron Cross Street. When they knocked on their landlord's door, "Ooh," Mr. Frankie declared imposingly while he short-frame bridged on a sofa. "You know my rules. No one is allowed to be behind their rent." Oh my god, he assumed immediately, dude. Benson leaned forward and smiled. "Mr. Frankie, we're here to give up our lease." That's straightforward. Will negotiating this way work? Standing beside Benson, Klein was shocked when he heard him. On the way here, Benson had said that his bottom line was a compensation of 12 solly. Wow, okay. Okay, let him cook again. "Give up your lease? No, we have a contract, and there's still half a year left." Frankie glared at Benson as he flailed his arms. Benson looked at him seriously and waited for a moment before saying calmly, "Mr. Frankie, you should understand that you could not have made much more money." Mr. Frankie, you should understand that you could have made so much more money." "Make much more, hmm?" Frankie asked with interest, touching his skinny face. Benson sat up straight and explained with a smile. "The 2-bedroom unit was rented to the 3 of us for 5 soldi and 6 pence. But if you were to rent it to a family of 5 or 6 people, with 2 or 3 of them working and getting paid, I think they will be willing to pay more to stay there instead of paying at Lower Street where it's ridden with crime. I think 5 soldi, 10 pence or 6 soldi will be a reasonable price." Frankie's eyes brightened up and his throat moved as Benson continued to say, "Besides, you are certainly aware that rental prices have been increasing in recent years. The longer we stay, the greater loss you incur." But I need to look for a new tenant. Mr. Frankie, who had inherited the apartment building, obviously liked the idea. Oh my god, it's a Nepo child. I believe you can find one very quickly since you have the ability and resource to do so. Maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days. We'll pay for the losses you incur during this time. How about the deposit of 3 solid that we have paid? It is very reasonable. Benson immediately said for Frankie. Frankie nodded in satisfaction. Wow. Benson, you are such a conscientious and honest young man. Alright then, let's sign the termination of contract. Klein was dumbfounded watching this happen. He completely understood how easy it was to convince Mr. Frankie. Benson is on the spectator pathway because holy shit, I remember Benson, the spectator pathway being you're good at gaslighting or something like that, right? Klein was dumbfounded watching this happen. He completely understood how easy it was to convince Mr. Frankie. That's way too easy. The problem of the previous contract resolved, the 3 siblings first helped Klein buy his formal wear and then got busy with moving house. So in the Donghua, Benson gifted him the suit. They didn't have anything heavy or bulky, as bulkier items belonged to the landlord. Thus Benson and Melissa rejected Klein's idea of hiring a carriage and instead carried their things themselves. Aww. They went back and forth between Daffodil Street and Iron Cross Street. The hot sun outside of the window set in the west and golden rays shone through the oriel window, scattering across the desk surface. Klein looked at the rack that had books and notebooks arranged neatly before putting an ink bottle and fountain pen on the table, which he had wiped earlier. It's finally over, he had a breath of relief and heard his stomach growl. He loosened his rolled up sleeves as he walked toward the door. He had a bed that belonged to him. The bedsheet and blanket were white, old but clean. Klein twisted the doorknob and walked out of his bedroom. Just as he was preparing to say something, he saw both doors on the opposite side open simultaneously as Benson and Melissa came into his view. Okay. Looking at the dust and dirt marks on their faces, Klein and Benson suddenly burst out into laughter, sounding abnormally cheerful. Melissa bit her lips slightly, but the laughter was contagious. She eventually let out a soft laugh. No, that's cute. The Moretti family is happy. Benson is on the communist pathway. Wow. The next morning, Klein stood before a full-length mirror with no cracks, seriously smoothing out his collar and sleeves off his shirt. The outfit included a white shirt, black tuxedo, silk top hat, black vest, a set of trousers, boots, and a bow tie. He felt a pinch of saying 8 pounds in total. Wow. His fucking top hat? Off the screen. I saw a really nice detail, by the way. A full-length mirror with no cracks. Because the one in his apartment before, in Frankie's apartment, had cracks on it. So there's like little things. However, the effect was great. Klein felt that his reflection in the mirror exhibited great scholarly qualities and made him look more handsome. Click. He closed his pocket watch and put into his inner pocket. He then took his cane and hid his revolver. He took the tracked public carriage and arrived at Sutherland Street. Details, exactly. Love the details. The moment he entered the Blackthorn security company, he realized that he was so used to his previous lifestyle that he had forgotten to give Melissa extra money, but allowed her to walk to school instead. Aww. Shaking his head, he took note of it before stepping into Blackthorn security company. He saw the brown-haired girl Roseanne making coffee. Hello, Roseanne. A rich aroma permeated throughout the office. Good morning, Klein. The weather is great today. Roseanne greeted him with a smile. To be frank, I have always been curious in such weather. Don't you men feel hot wearing those formal suits? I know for a fact that England's summer isn't as hot as the South's, but it's still summer. It's the price of style, Klein replied humorously. Good morning, Miss Roseanne. Where's Captain? Same old place, Roseanne pointed inside. Klein nodded. I went through the partition and knocked on Don Smith's office door. Come in. Don's voice was deep and gentle as usual. When he saw Klein, who looked quite different in a set of nice formal fare, he nodded and his grey eyes smiled. Have you decided? He asked. Klein took a deep breath and answered seriously. Yes, I have made a decision. Ooh. Tan slowly sat up straight. His expression became solemn, but the deep recesses of his grey eyes remained the same. Tell me your answer. Klein replied without hesitation, Seer. Ooh. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Are we gonna get the potion next episode? Old Neil is gonna cook it up, like mix all the ingredients in. We're gonna drink it. Let's see. Chapter 31. Also, very nice chapter. We got our new house, formal wear. Also, the relationship between the siblings. I love that slice of life stuff. I was missing that from Don Qua. Let's go. Next episode. Potion. Yes, next episode. I said what I said. I'm ready. Tan Smith stared at Klein with his grey eyes for a full minute. Oh wow, okay. Staring into our soul. For a full minute without saying a word. Klein did not cower under the pressure of silence in this case. Continued locking his eyes with Tan. Damn, Chad. Holy. You must understand that once you consume this potion, there will be no room for regret. Finally, Tan spoke again in a deep, emotionless voice. Klein grinned and said, I know, but I respect the voice in me. First, Sleepless does not meet my requirements. It was the same for Spectator, which he heard from the Tarot Club based on description. He was unsure when he would come into contact with other beyond their pathways. A slow remedy could not work for an urgent situation. Therefore, there was no need for him to wait. By the same logic, Corpse Collector was eliminated as well, leaving the two choices, Mystery Briar and Seer. Under the premise that potions of the same sequence were equally dangerous, and him unable to obtain more information, as well as the fact that both Mystery Briar and Seer met his requirements, then regardless of whether Emperor Cell was making a passing remark, or if he was really regretted not choosing Apprentice, Marauder, or Seer, it was enough to tip the balance in his heart. Furthermore, he could tell from the diary that as long as he figured out the true essence of digestion and acting, he will be able to avoid the negative effects the potion will bring to a significant extent. As for murmurings and illusory enticements that will drive people to corruption and madness, he had already encountered that even without being a Beyonder. Alright, Tan stood up and picked up his half-top hat. As he put it on, he said, Follow me down. Klein nodded and gave a gentleman's bow in gratitude. Tap, tap, tap. Both of the men ventured down, their footsteps echoing through the silent and vast stairwell and passageway. Klein suddenly felt gripped by anxiety as he tried to find a topic of conversation. Captain, you mentioned that taking the potion will not directly give me the corresponding knowledge on mysticism. They'll only have a qualifications to learn it. Then, where does the basic knowledge of mysticism come from? Did our predecessors risk their lives for it to obtain it via other means? Every time he went underground, he would find the air especially fresh. Clearly, the ventilation was excellent. However, the occasional gust of wind made one shiver. Tan glanced at him. The darkness in his grey eyes appeared abnormally deep. He answered calmly, One of them is, as you said, experimentation, summarization, and enchantment. Second, being bestowed by gods. Third, the dangerous murmurs that others can't hear do not only growl at roll senselessly. At times, they will describe some matters regarding mysticism. But according to what I know, people who truly listen to the murmurs on a long-term basis have gone mad without exception, or they would fall to corruption and become monsters. Of course, we must thank them. The notebooks they left behind are precious treasures in the field of mysticism. Wow, I actually got chills. Damn, only me? What do you mean? Oof. Gosh. Human lab rats. The underground message called humidity made Klein shudder suddenly. Then, with my luck enchantment with ritual which turned into social network magic, eventually led to similar effects to the crazy and horrible murmurs. Oh my god. At the intersection, Tan did not proceed towards Kani's gate, nor did he turn to the weapons, materials, and archives. Instead, he took line to the left and approached Saint Selena's Cathedral. Midway he stopped. It was unclear what he touched to open a secret door. This is our Nightwalk Steam Alchemy room. I will get all Neil to retrieve the seer, potion formula, and the corresponding materials from inside Kai's gate. Heh, you have pretty good luck. The goddess has blessed you with her favor. We shall still have the materials needed for 2 seer potions. If not, I will have to wait a long while. Dan pointed at the room behind the door. Wait here. Later watch old Neil concoct potion. It's the most basic part of mysticism studies. Oh, do not randomly touch the things in here. They are either very dangerous, expensive, or both. With that said, done added like before. Oh right, I forgot something again. You're becoming a Beyonder is a result of you having to face danger and the need to find the notebook. The meritorious deed was only a part of it. Therefore, you will not be a member of our team for time being. Really? You'll be a civilian staff member with corresponding salary. Ooh, you will do what I instructed you to do previously. One additional thing is to learn more about mysticism with old Neil. You can arrange the time with him. Okay, interesting. Alright, other than feeling a little disgruntled by the lack of Bear-Eyes, Klein was full agreement with the rest. Oh my god. According to Tan, there was still the process of learning and grasping one's newfound powers after consuming the potion. If he were to become a formal member immediately and participate in paranormal missions, his death was certain. True. Funny how it worked in Donghuaden. Another thing, I knew it, Klein was already used to the style of his captain. Oh yeah, because Tan keeps forgetting stuff. We got something out of the Secret Order's actions, said Tan with his usual expression. It's likely they will provoke you in the near future. Ooh, true. But so they're already like torturing regions for info, right? Don't be careless, it has to do with them being temporarily unable to confirm whether the Anticonus family notebook is important to them. From what we discovered, they have preserved some of the ancient customs, and we can confirm that they are related to the Solomon Empire and the corresponding nobles of that period. Yeah, I want to learn more about the Solomon Empire and the families of the 4th epoch, including Anticonus and the other ones, right? The one that also the, what's her name? Praise the Lady, the Evernight goddess destroyed. How many times did Dan stop now? Like, a lot. Got it, thanks Captain, said Klein as he exhaled. Klein is leaving the room like this, like looking like, anything else, Captain? Anything else? No? And then running away. This was also one of the reasons why he did not wish to wait, grasping the chance of becoming a Beyonder in such a hurry. As he watched Dan leave and confirmed that he would not turn his head to say more, Klein slowly walked into the alchemy room. Damn. This room had long tables, there were test tubes, pipettes, scales, and crucibles. What are crucibles? Let's learn together, guys. I love learning stuff. Crucible is container which metals or other substances may be melted or subject at very high temperature. Okay. Hanli, I think you mean record, right? Record the mortal journey. Tomorrow. Hanli tomorrow. Anyway. It resembled a chemistry laboratory from his previous life. It was just more Spartan and ancient. Okay. Other than that, there was a huge cauldron, a dark wood ladle, a translucent crystal ball. Oh god. And other items. The dark sacred emblem and other strange emblems were visible everywhere. They gave the room a tint of mystery. Klein looked around with interest, but he was not stupid enough to dodge the things. After a while, he heard footsteps. All near carried a tiny silver chest with complicated patterns. He was still wearing his unique classic black robe that seemed anachronistic, matched with a felt hat with a rounded edge of the same color. Lad. Wait, what voice did I give him? Lad, I never expect. No. Come here, lad. Lad, I never expected you to choose Seer. Old Neil put down the chest and used his somewhat turbid red eyes to size a plane. Your personality is just like mine. When I was young, you just don't want to follow the masses. Not bad. Light these gas lamps and close the door. Alright, Blaine tried hard not to tremble as he lit each gas lamp in the alchemy door. He made dim light rule over the place once again. Imagine compressing these 30 plus chapters into one episode. No wonder readers are mad. Pacing of 3 episodes should be 25 episodes. I low-key agree with you, by the way. It's just the big suits in Tencent wanted this show to have a fight every episode because, you know, most viewers, I don't wanna, you know, rattle anyone's feathers, but most anime viewers are like, sorry. And that just made it worse, because the viewers did not understand anything what was going on for that reason. Anyway. Tuck, 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 the secret door was closed. He turned back to see white-haired and deep-wrinkled old Neil using a bunch of strange field trees branches to scrub the black cauldron. The connection of a sequence potion is extremely simple, at least for sequence 7 and below. There's no need for a special flame or any additional rituals, much less an incantation. There's no need for one to participate in spirituality. All one needs to do is go according to the formula steps, add the precise amounts and mix it. That will be all. All Neil's wrinkles seemed to bloom from his smile. Aww, cute batuti. Bunga bunga, yeah. For real? Klein questioned in surprise. Interesting. So for sequence 6 potions, you need a special flame? Or additional ritual? I wonder if some sequences do you need like a human sacrifice, right? Because when I think of rituals, for some reason my mind goes to human sacrifices. Now, there were, I remember going back to Donghua, in Hornachis, the kingdom of Hornachis, people died and disappeared, right? Or maybe they didn't disappear. So I wonder if those people were used for like a sequence 1 potion ritual or sequence 2 potion ritual. You know what I mean? Interesting. That's a thought keeping in mind, you know? Anyway, for real, Clan Goshen's surprise, it sounds as simple as my luck enchantment ritual. Man, it's quite frightening when you come to think of it. Perhaps it's a gift, of the gods. Praise the lady. Old Neil drew a haphazard circle over the chest. Following that, he opened the silver chest and pulled out coat skin parchment that exuded antiquity. Antiquity. The yellowish-brown coatskin unfurled inch by inch, revealing words on it. Klein looked in from a distance and realized it was in Hermes, a language he was very familiar with. It was written in ink that resembled blood, seemingly having its flatility remain intact, but other than that, it did not seem extraordinary in any way. Seer, 100 milliliters of pure water, 13 drops of night vanilla liquid, 7 gold mint leaves. Klein silently recited the formula content, but the rest of it was blocked by old Neil's wrist, preventing him from reading it. Pure water is repeatedly distilled. Thankfully, I made some previously, so there's no need to waste time on it. While old Neil gave the introduction, he took a large sealed glass bottle from a table with great familiarity. He took off the stopper and poured about 100 mils of pure water into the cauldron without much thought. So he's like basically overspilling it, maybe. They were afraid he would affect old Neil's concoction. After all, he was the one drinking the potion. 13 drops of night vanilla juices. This can be extracted and stored in essential oil ahead of time. Old Neil took out a tiny brown bottle from the silver chest and with a pipette and dripped 13 drops of the cauldron in a relaxed manner. Oh, that's a pipette. A faint but easing fragrance emanated, making Klein feel an abnormal sense of peace. 7 gold mint leaves. Old Neil picked up silver patterned can and removed its lid. With his bare hands, he picked up a few leaves and scattered it into the cauldron. He caught a whiff of fresh and simmering scent. 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Old Neil chuckled and looked at the cauldron potion formula on the coat skin. 3 drops of poison hemlock. This isn't something you should drink randomly. It can cause your entire body to numb to the point of death. In ancient times, it proved to be the best option for committing suicide. Oh my god, what? That's crazy. It's not like I'm silly, Klein lampooned. Old Neil changed pipettes and dripped the poison hemlock into the cauldron. The mixture caused a strange smell that freshened one's mind. 9 grams of dragon's blood. Cress powder. O'Neill took his time to reach his hand into the silver chest and pulled out a transparent test tube. There was some deep black powder inside. He used beaker and a scale to measure 9 grams of powder and pour it into the cauldron. He then stirred the mixture twice with a dark wood ladle. The laid-back process in making the concoction made Klein a little worried. In fact, the materials from before were just supplemental. The exact amount doesn't really affect the final outcome. Should I put a little bit more? O'Neill made a joke. The last two is what is crucial. The amount can be slightly lower, but it cannot be too far from the requirement, or your enchantment can fail. Or the quantity cannot be any more, even just a little bit. If so, you will have to be treated for mental problems. It is not impossible to die immediately. God. Then the sequence 9 potion is really whack. Because, like, you can put, like, example, pure water, you can put, like, 120 mils. Nothing happens, right? It still works. I immediately then stopped as he saw O'Neill pull out the black glass bottle from the silver chest. Lava squid blood, 10 milliliters. This kind of squid is considered an extraordinary biological species, clearly mutated. He discovered the mystery. Its blood will rapidly break down under sunlight and lose its unique qualities. He has to store an opaque material. O'Neill though no longer sounded relaxed. He quickly and carefully retrieved 10 milliliters of blood with a test tube. Okay, we're going down here. What's up, Shauria? The blood was blue like the sky. From time to time it produced illusory bubbles as though it was connected to the spiritual world. After pouring the blood inside the test tube, the remaining drops are ignored as form of precaution, whispered O'Neill. The moment the blue blood entered the cauldron and made contact with the liquid from before, it produced bubbling sounds. The surrounding light was dyed with a light blue tinge, making Klein feel a strange sense of distance but also familiarity. It felt like the feeling of being in a mother's womb. How do you know the feeling of being in a mother's womb? Or do you mean... Never mind. It elevated the human soul. The final item, star crystal, 50 grams. O'Neill's voice sounded in Klein's ears, jolting him awake as he looked at the table. In the old gentleman's hand was a piece of extremely pure crystal. Furthermore, the crystal appeared gelatinous as though it was jelly from Earth. Ooh, interesting. It lacked hardness. Under the blue light, illumination reflected bits of light as seemed to contain a resplendent void of stars within. This is excellent material for the creation of divination crystals. Just a little less in consideration of any mistakes. As O'Neill measured, he used a tiny patterned silver plate to extract the crystal. Pure water, night vanilla, gold mints, leaves, a poison hemlock juice, dragon blood grass, lava squid blood, and star crystal make up a seer. At that moment, Klein could not help but recall the formula. Oh, sorry. With everything done, O'Neill poured in a few blocks of star crystal into the cauldron. The sizzle! Also, 100% Klein is writing that formula down. Illusory fog instantly spewed forth, turning the alchemy room into a blur. Klein seemed to be a vast array of stars amid the fog and felt like he was being observed by an invisible existence. Okay. A few seconds later, the fog dissipated. O'Neill used the dark wood ladle and scooped out some sticky, dark blue liquid. It had strange characteristics, gooey and inseparable. Not only a bit was left in the black cauldron. The dark blue liquid was poured into an opaque cup before O'Neill pointed at it. It's done. It's done. Your seer potion. Okay. Wow. Okay, so very detailed of creating the seer potion and some of the ingredients as well. Learn more about them, right? Pure water is just water that is distilled like a lot of times. Some ingredients you can just mix and match, not mix and match, but you can use. You don't have to be so strict with the measurements, right? But some ingredients you have to be like on point. And I'm guessing the lower sequence you go, the more strict everything comes, right? You can't mess up even like a milliliter or whatever the one before millimeter is, you know, nanoliter? I don't know. Anyway, has to be super precise from now on. Also, Klein seemed to see a vast array of stars amid the fog and felt like he was being observed by an invisible existence. I wonder if like a higher sequence seer from the past is somehow like observing, you know? Maybe it's Saratul. I'm so fucking like tunnel vision on Saratul, it's crazy. Next chapter, guys, 32. Spirit vision. Whole chapter for spirit vision. No, I'm sorry, Constantine. Be safe, dude. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Update us later, okay? Anyway, you can join my Discord, guys, so we can discuss if you guys want. I'm gonna continue in a second here. I think the link is pinned. Anyway, we are continuing with chapter 32, Spirit Vision. Oh, I like the music. Do you guys enjoy the music? Expedition 33, by the way. A more detailed explanation, yeah. Okay. Spirit vision. Klein looked at the dark blue gelatinous liquid, finding it hard to describe. It is either a block or cup of liquid. He swallowed his saliva and said in great difficulty, "Am I to drink it just like that?" I wonder how well it's gonna go down his throat. You know what I mean? Because it's like gelatinous. Like, is he gonna choke on it? Like, you know what I mean? Is there no need for any other preparation, like a ritual, incantation, or a prayer? Old Neil acknowledged Terselli before saying, "Preparation? There is. Get a cup of Intis, Ormum, grape wine, suck on Tessie cigar, and whistle a relaxing tone, and dance upbeat court dance. You can do a tap dance if you prefer that. Finally, play a round of Gwent cards." Old Neil the troll, guys. When he saw Klein's expression turn dumbfounded, Old Neil laughed and summarized what he just said. "Ha ha ha, if you feel nervous. You're quite humorous, aren't you?" The corners of Klein's mouth twitched as he resisted the urge to draw his gun. Imagine. It just kills Old Neil. He put his cane down and extended his right hand as though he held something heavy. He raised the opaque cup. The smell of the potion was faint and seemingly ethereal. "Lad, do not hesitate. The more you hesitate, the more nervous and afraid you will be. That will not affect the absorption that follows," said Old Neil with his back facing Klein. It was as though he had said it casually. It was unknown when he arrived by the nearby water basin. He turned on the tap and washed his hands. Klein nodded silently and took a deep breath, just like he was back when he was a child. He pinched his nose and drank it like medicine. He moved the opaque cup to his mouth and dipped his head, drinking it down with a gulp. A cool and smooth feeling quickly filled his oral cavity. It then flowed through his gullet and into his stomach. The sticky dark blue liquid seemed to grow out thin and long tentacles, bringing stimulation and coldness to every cell in Klein's body. He could not help but convulse as his vision rapidly went into a blur. All colors seemed to saturate. The reds were redder, the blues were bluer, and the blacks were blacker. The rich colors blend like an impressionist painting. Wow, okay. That's a very vivid description, damn. Klein had been seen such a scene before. It was back when he was questioned by the spirit medium Dali. At that moment his vision became blurred. Although his mind felt light, it was clear. He felt like a castaway floating at the sea. Damn, okay. Slowly his surroundings turned discernible. All the colors returned to the original as greyish and blurry fog emanated. Around him were forms he found difficult to describe. There were transparent objects that did not seem to exist. Deep down there were lustrous brilliances of different colors which seemed to possess life or contain immense knowledge. It's a little similar to what I saw during the luck enchantment ritual. Ooh. It's all like not connected, but you went through like same kind of like a process as in, yeah, like you know what I mean? Like it's all like mystical. As Klein instantly looked down, he realized that he was still standing in his original spot, called Woolsey. Suddenly he came to realization, causing his consciousness to sink abruptly and fuse with him. Boom! The fog quickly disbanded as the colors restored to normal. The bright, clear halo and the inexistent object instantly vanished. Interesting. Very interesting. There were transparent objects that did not seem to exist. Deep down, there were lustrous brilliance of different colors. Hello, Luvian. Is this time really bad for you? He was so greedy he was to whip out his gun with that clown in Donghua, yeah. Okay, let's keep reading. The scene in the alchemy room returned to normal, but Klein felt his head swell. He felt like it was being yanked apart. Whatever he saw had countless afterimages. His ears were overwhelmed by an ethereal murmur. Ooh, here we go! Hornatsis Flecrea, Hornatsis Flecrea, Hornatsis Flecrea. So we know Hornatsis is the mountain range, but Flecrea we still don't know, right? I'm thinking it's another location, or it's a person from maybe like the 4th epoch, or from like Sarathul's times, because I think those murmurings are coming from Sarathul. They have to come from a high sequence seer. Now, that's what Sesamir said in Donghua, right? Now the only other seer that we know is Sarathul, right? So that's why I'm tunnel visioned on Sarathul. I think Sarathul has a bigger role we're gonna see in the future. Anyway, Klein felt a stabbing pain at the forehead as he quickly had thoughts of causing destruction to vent the discomfort in him. He frowned and hurriedly shook his head. Is your vision abnormal? Are you also hearing things you did not used to hear? Said old Neil at his side with concealed smile. Yes, Mr. Neil, what should I do? Klein tolerated intense mania and asked. Old Neil chuckled. This is the result seepage of potion energy. You lack the means to control it. Alright, do as I say. Think of an object in your mind, something common. Make it simple and easy. Bread, top hat, cat. Come on, Klein. Klein quickly focused his envisioned his own half top hat woven from a black silk. He recalled the feeling when he touched it and its exact shape. Place your whole focus on it. Keep repeating that while creating the outlines. Does it feel a little better? Old Neil's voice penetrated into his mind like a serene song. Klein turned his focus bit by bit to the imagined top hat. He felt the murmurs subside into a whisper before they vanished. Okay, the after images he also stacked upon one another and no longer appeared a blur. But the after images that he saw, what were they? You know what I mean? Much better, said Klein after calming his mind of chaotic emotion and having exhaled. He looked down at his body and discovered nothing abnormal had happened. He moved his limbs in half anticipation and half doubt, asking, I succeeded? Old Neil pulled out a mirror-like mercury plate and shoved it in front of him. Look at your eyes. When focused his gaze and saw that he was wearing a black top hat, his outline stood out. Ooh! And his facial features looked normal. Apart from having his face covered in sweat, he did not seem different anyway. He followed old Neil's instruction and carefully looked at his eyes. On identity, he discovered that his brown eyes had deepened quite significantly. It was so much deepened that it was like the night, one in complete darkness. It felt so deep that it could absorb the souls of others. Normally, dark brown pupils are easily recognized as black without looking very carefully. Even Klein himself would not have noticed. This is a physical manifestation of the potion's powers. When you learn cogitation and how to converge your power, your eyes will return to normal. Old Neil smiled as he reached out his right hand. Congratulations, you're new beyond our seer. What about imagining a thing that doesn't exist in this world? What happened to that? Thank you, Klein reached out his hand and shook it. Mr. Neil, when can I learn how to cogitate? You can learn now. The initial steps of cognition are relatively simple. It's even more so for Beyonders, said old Neil with a smile. Just now, producing an object in your mind to divert your attention and turning the energy seepage inwards is actually the first step to cogitation. Try doing it again. Okay, interesting, let's go. Klein closed his eyes and once again his mind depicted a half-topped hat. His concentration seemed to be more easily focused than before. Soon, random thoughts that surfaced would quickly vanish, leaving the hat's outline. Let your brain go somewhat blank. Exchange the object you imagined. Use something that does not exist in this world. An object you imagine completely out of thin air. You have to follow this rule. Only by doing so can you enter cogitation. Only then can you exceed the concept of I, the limitless I. I will become one with the universe, giving you the ability to see and understand the truth. You will obtain knowledge only you yourself can understand. In the domain of mysticism studies, it's called a mystic experience, said old Neil using a pacifying tone. You just need to listen to the description that I'll get to later. What's most important is to enter cogitation. Why is that so hard? Something that doesn't exist in this world. Imagine something completely out of thin air. Will things from Earth count? Things from Earth don't count because these things exist for you, Klein. That's my theory. The reason why like Rocket and stuff didn't count was because Klein has seen them before in Earth, right? So it kinda exists, but only exists for him. Klein attempted using an Earthy Queen intercontinental missile he saw on television. Aww. This scene in Donghua, by the way, was insane, right? He replaced the half-top hat with this long and thick missile. However, regardless of how he outlined it or imagined it, he ultimately only ended up focusing his attention. It doesn't seem like it will work. He had no choice but to let his imagination run wild. He outlined a sphere of light and then many objects, gathering them together. The spheres of light stacked upon it on another, it felt like an object of fantasy. Klein's thoughts gradually turned ethereal and afloat. His body and his mind calmed down. The object did not seem to exist. The fog with the bright cluster of light and the complex colors appeared once again. They floated in the sky and close each other. Damn. Donghua was just a bit exaggerated. Yeah, but I like that. Novel sequence are pretty much human, so no big deal when clients have trouble cognition.
Cognition. Cognition.
Cognition.
Cognition.
Cognition.
Cognition.
Cognition. Cognition. Okay. How much trouble cognition in Donghua liquid come out, etc. I'm not saying Donghua bad, just stating difference. Okay, thank you. He sensed his speciality inch by inch as he looked down at them quietly. He sensed it and took it in. Very good, expected of Seer. You entered cognition very smoothly. You are just slightly worse than me back then. Slightly, said old Neil with a chuckle. In that case, I'll begin teaching you the most common, easiest of grasp, and most powerful ability in the future in mysticism, spirit vision. Oh. I mistyped it. Oh, you're right. Thank you, username.
Cogitation.
Cogitation.
Cogitation. Cogitation.
Cogitation. Cogitation. Really? Okay. Very good. Aspects of Seer. He switched off the gas lamps one after another, but opened the door to the alchemy room. It made a spot where Klein was dark, but not to the point of falling to make out silhouettes of objects. Also, it's enhancement. Oh, thank you. Enhancement, not enchantment. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for clearing that up. He tried to cast lamps for not under, but opened door to alchemy room. He made the spot where Klein was dark, but not to the point of falling to make out silhouettes of objects. Alright, in your present state, raise your hands and place them in front of your eyes. Your index fingers need to face each other, but they are not to touch. Open your eyes and help them and keep them open until you are accustomed to darkness. Interesting, okay. Try and complete each step according to old Neil's description. He saw the silhouettes of his fingers and the surrounding objects. Actually, you should be lying down to let your body be entirely relaxed, but since the effect of your oxidation
Cogitation.
it's not bad, let's continue. Old Neil laughed. Focus your gaze on the spot behind your hands. It has to be behind. And slowly move your fingers and maintain the same pose without touching them. Also, do not pull them out of your sight. Klein calmly listened to it and cast his gaze at an empty spot behind his palms. He then slowly moved his index fingers within his vision. Once, twice, thrice. Suddenly Klein saw a fire red color in between his fingers. Eh? He let out a sound. You see color? That's right. That's the initial step to spirit vision. The color you see is your aura, said old Neil with a chuckle. No rush, do it a few more times after stabilizing it. Look elsewhere. It also takes the opportunity to explain to you the different meanings of the different colors. Alright, Klein moved the fingers back and forth while having his vision trained on fire red. I wanna see the eyes. Old Neil thought for a moment before saying, to put it simply, the mainstream way of mysticism is to split non-physical parts of human into 4 levels. At its core, the soul body. Okay, this is important, guys. Which is also everyone's basic spirituality. There's a school of thought that believes all biological creatures have spirituality and have a soul body. Yeah, true. And some people even have a abnormal amount of spirituality that are like half beyonders, like half sequence time before beyonders, right? I'm not sure about anything else, but the mystery prize a call of
Cogitation.
and the method to increase our strength is directed toward the soul body. Outside the soul body is the astral projection. Okay, it is the means for the soul body to communicate with the spirit world and with the cosmos. It's considered an external manifestation of the soul body. Besides, it will be directly related to your personal ambition and your prevailing emotions. The scenes you see after consuming the potion are scenes your astral projection sees. When it wanders through the spirit world, that world does not obey the laws of physical world. It involves exceeding the concept of I, the limitless I and the universe's I, the past, present and the future, might be stacked upon one another and that of the source of divination. Okay. The spirit world, what you see is just an image or a symbol. You have to interpret it to understand its actual meaning. I mean, when he goes to the grey fog, we can still see Klein's physical body in his room, so like the grey fog is not anywhere physical, right? And it's the same with the other members from the Tarot Club as well. Divination and many magic spells are cast through astral projection. Do not mistake its relationship and difference with the soul body. One is just a body, another one is for form. Klein continued to looking at the aura in between his fingertips and made a simple conclusion. Further out will be the body of heart and mind. From this point forth, it will combine with the physical body. It involves your brain and is an overall manifestation of your inferential abilities, your analytical abilities, your observational abilities, and identification ability. Some potions will mainly raise this, but a number of magic spells targeted as well. I'm guessing like Mystical Prior, Seer, this will raise it more than like, let's say, Marauder or like Fighter. Okay. Old Neil explained in a relatively great detail. The outermost layer is the ether body. It is a manifestation of your vital energies and physical form. The aura color you see is an external phenomenon of your ether body. In other words, apart from the spiritual body's ghosts and specters you can see directly with a spirit vision. It might also include certain existences that could not be seen. Like, for example, your wife in the background. You can also see the ether bodies of other of their auras from their thickness, brightness, and color. You can determine their health and emotional state. When your spirit vision improves and you grasp more mysticism knowledge, you will be able to discover even more details. You can even determine the lifespan of others. Damn, that's scary though. By the way, the emotional state I mentioned will also manifest itself because of your astral projection. When you go higher in sequence, your spirit vision will reach a relatively high stage. Someone else's astral projection will even be detectable. The way you will learn even more things. This is the level of seers and mystery briars can attain. Wow. Some fellows even claim that the strongest form of spirit vision allows one to see anything in any place, including the past and future. However, I'm skeptical about it. I'm guessing that every time you go up a sequence, and if you are especially on these like mysticism pathways like seer and mystery prior, and when you reach like sequence 2, 3 or 4 even, maybe it's possible, then it's quite wonderful. Klein was almost stirring eager. Old Neil coughed and continued. Let's return to ether body and the colors of the auras. Your limbs are parts that require emotion will appear red. Your head and brain surface will appear purple. Spots of the excrete waste will appear orange. The digestion system will appear as yellow. The heart and other regulatory systems will appear green. Your throat and other parts of the nervous system will appear blue. An entirely balanced body will make a body be cloaked in white. That is a symbol of health. Ooh. Okay, yeah. Once it turns dark or the thickness thins, the color will change. That indicates that corresponding spot has turned problematic. It means it's in a state of exhaustion or illness. Wow. In addition, the inner layer of astral projection represents prevailing emotions. Red means passion and excitement. Orange means warmth and satisfaction. Yellow means happiness and extroversion. Green means calm and peace. Blue means coldness and stillness. That one is in thought. White means brightness and eagerness to improve. Dark colors mean worry, sorrow, and silence. Purple means that spirituality is taking control of the lead, coldness, and estrangement. I have it in my notes. Klein silently memorized information and stabilized his initial spirit vision. Good. You can now look at other objects. Old Neil did not speak further as he nodded. Klein slowly turned his head and looked at Old Neil. Indeed, he saw different colors in different parts of his body. The aura was both thick and thin at different spots. The purple color at his head was brightest and his limbs' redness was relatively dark. The overall whiteness to his body was somewhat faded as well. Damn. Indeed, he's getting old in age, Klein with a silent comment to himself. Only with what he saw did he feel that he had become a beyonder. I'm now a beyonder. He shifted his gaze and carefully sized up Old Neil, and suddenly he saw a translucent pair of cold and ruthless eyes, without any brows in the void behind him. These nearly illusory eyes were staring at Old Neil intently, as well as him. This, Klein shuddered as he gasped and said, "You have a pair of eyes behind you." Old Neil was taken back before he forced a smile. Ignore them. Damn, the foreshadowing was like so apparent in the novel, man. The sage, the hidden sage is right there. It's a little more detailed spirit vision. Ooh, don't put the eyes. That's scary. Jump scare. Oh my god. That's actually so creepy. Look how creepy it looks in my chat. Oh. Wow. Stop, guys. We did not see his wife though, or this client didn't comment on it, but in Don Qua we saw his wife as well, something in the back there. You know what I mean? So, this was also mentioned in Ani News, one of the cut content videos. I took like a screenshots and stuff like that. I have all in my notes. Line just memorized it in his head. What a fucking child! I'm just saying, I have to write things down to memorize most things because there's so much stuff. And we learned a lot of difficult words for non-English speaker as well. I mean, we know them before, but how to pronounce them, I still failed. And the astral projection and the spirit world is definitely connected with grey fog. It's just, I feel like the grey fog will be a thing that will be like revealed or like talked about in like volume 5 or 6 or 7. We're not supposed to know what it is, right? So we're gonna find more about that later, and we can just keep guessing and theorizing until we find out what it actually is, right? Maybe it's a series specific thing, but I don't think so, because he got it when he got transmigrated. It has to be with the luck ritual, has to be like a higher being that can make this happen, can make transmigration happen to Roselle before, right? The same person that, or the same entity that was behind Roselle's transmigration is also behind Klein's transmigration. I have no doubt about it. Does that mean that Roselle also have the grey fog ability? Is he gonna mention that in his diaries? You get quieter? Did I? Hello? Hello? Oh, I went further away from the microphone, I guess. Why did you... That comment was just deleted. Why? Anyway, like I said, wonder if Roselle also had the grey fog. Were there other transmigration happening other than Roselle and Klein? Were there transmigration happening in the first, second, third, or fourth epoch? I feel like these things we're gonna figure out, right? Next chapter right now, 33. Switch. Oh, that was a big yap session, right? Give me a second. I'm so Roselle go that because French music. 1 second, guys. Also, how's your day going, by the way? Are you guys doing okay? I'm uploading the next chapter reaction as a VOD on Thursday, by the way. Nice, that's good. Oh, the chat got stuck. Why did the chat got stuck? You're right, by the way. Thank you for saying. Okay, it's fixed now. Thank you for mentioning it, Luvian. Thank you so much. How long was it stuck? Maybe when I zoomed in, that's when it got stuck. I'm guessing that's when I got stuck. When I zoomed down on the eyes or something. Thank God it wasn't long. It was awkward. Anyway, chapter 33 switch. Thank you, Fleeting Soul. Thank you, Luvian. What's up, Killex? The moment old Neil finished his sentence, the illusory pair of eyes that lurked in the darkness behind him vanished. Ooh, even his spirit vision state, Klein was no longer able to identify traces of its existence. This is characteristic of ritualistic magic, explained old Neil with a chuckle. Fascinating. Is spirit vision on an enhanced version of yin-yang eyes? Ooh, is that a real thing? Yin-yang eyes? I'm curious. in Chinese folklore, let's read about yin yang, guys. In Chinese folklore and culture, yin yang eyes refer to supernatural ability to see ghosts, spirits, and unseen world, often associated with the third eye or clairvoyance. That's cool. Klein felt like a child who had received a new toy. In excitement, he turned his gaze away and began observing every corner of the room. He wanted to see the difference of the alchemy room with and without the spirit vision. The outlines of the objects in the dark, such as the tables, test tubes, scales, cups, and cupboards, did not look different from how it looked without spirit vision. They did not emit any lights of color. Objects without lives do not have spirituality, Klein mumbled to himself as he swept his gaze towards the silver chest. Ooh, interesting. Suddenly he saw a vibrancy of colors. The colors were as blue as the sky, as replacing the stars, or as a crimson red, as burning flames. Ingredients do have spirituality. What's up, Saku? Materials from extraordinary beings still have some life in them and are still active, even if the source is already dead. Glenn deliberated on his words as he sought old Neil's help. A precise description is that they have remnant spiritualities. It is one of the crucial points of a succession potion concoction. It is also one of the reasons why a Beyonder will lose control. Dunn should have already informed you, explained old Neil frankly. Suddenly laughed, having recalled something. I remember that the formula of Corpse Collector requires a desiccated, mature, black-spotted frog. To consume the potion requires a lot of courage. You. Klein imagined a little and found it disgusting. He did not echo all Neil's words and turned his gaze to a dark area. However, there were no spiritual bodies or ghosts that he looked forward to seeing. Isn't it said that the world of spirits is everywhere? He asked out of curiosity. Old Neil chuckled tersely before saying, Bunk. Repeat after me. This is the headquarters of a Nighthawk squad. This is the ground beneath the Church of Evernight. There are many Beyonders here. Do you think we will allow spirits and souls to wander around here? Furthermore, the spiritual world and spirits have two different concepts. Klein felt a little embarrassed as he turned his head, pretending to look at the faint light from the cast lamps at the entrance. I get it. While speaking, the area between his brows began to spasm. What's happening? Just as Klein turned around to ask, he suddenly saw a figure standing quietly at the door. This is his wife! At the periphery of the light, it appeared human, although his aura, colors, and the darkness blended perfectly, making it impossible to discern. Klein felt a painful spasm at his glabella. What the fuck is a glabella? The glabella in humans is the skin between the eyebrows and above the nose. Oh, okay. His vision turned chaotic as he focused his attention again, but there was no formless figure. Strange, he turned around and asked, Mr. Neil, the spot in between my brows is a little painful from spasms. It's a very common. You are a new Beyonder. Spirit vision places a great burden on your soul body. Furthermore, it trains you constantly. Physical effects can be glabella spasm, headaches, oversensitivity, and minor bouts of hallucinations. Hallucinations! Very smooth, old Neil. And while viewing things with spirit vision, it's very easy to feel uncomfortable as a result of the unfamiliar surroundings. It's also very easy to have your emotions affected by others. There are things that require you to pay attention. You can become accustomed to and eliminate them with the repeated practice. In addition, use it to sparingly and end it in a timely fashion, answered old Neil with a smile. Now, old Neil can claim that that figure was just a hallucination, right? So don't worry about it. Also, the eyes, he can say it was a hallucination as well. Good morning, Hope. What's up, Red Devil? Usually man blocked me before I turn you into a femboy. How can you turn usually into a femboy when it's already a femboy? Why does it feel like you are delighted by this? Klein hurriedly asked for advice. Then how do I exit from the state of having spirit vision? He had planned on mentioning the invisible figure he had seen all though, when he heard of the minor bouts of hallucination among the symptoms, he struck that thought away. Damn, Klein, you shouldn't have done that. From the glabella spasms and headache, he could completely guess old Neil's answer. Like before, I think of an item to divert your attention. It will bring you out of Fuck, I lost it. Wait. Okay, here we go. Like before, think of an item to divert your attention. It will bring you out of
cogitation,
close your eyes and control your spirituality and repeatedly tell it to end. When you open your eyes again, you will discover that your spirit vision has ended. All Neil described leisurely, and when he was done, added, of course, that is the most trivial and clumsy method we can repeatedly hint to ourselves in
cogitation,
from practice to affect our spirituality. That way you will have a simple switch. For instance, tapping at your glabella twice lightly would allow you to easily activate spirit vision. Another 2 taps will simply end it. As for as for how you set it up depends on your habits and your preferences. Got it. I can't say that word, man. Keep
cogitation,
in your voice so you can use it every time it's mentioned. Maybe. Some words are really hard, man. Anyway. Got it. Klein thought for a moment and planned to immediate old Neil to use tapping his glabella twice as a switch for his spirit vision. Tapping once was easily mistaken as an instinctive knock to his head, and tapping twice could be a waste of valuable time. Why does it matter, Klein? Klein is actually like overthinking this. Valuable time in dangerous situation. As for actions like snapping fingers that were too attention drawing, he eased his focus and imagined the stacked spheres of light and re-entered the state of
cogitation.
Under old Neil's guidance, after repeated hints in practice, he finally set up his switch. He clenched his fist lightly and used his index finger joint to tap at glabella twice. Immediately there were glowing auras of differing thickness and colors appearing before his eyes. Yet another 2 taps, everything returned to normal. I finally grasped it, he sighed with delight. Nice, Klein. Only then did he realize how exhausted he was, feeling like he could fall asleep at any time. His mind hurt as though he had stayed up for 3 nights. Damn. All Neil said with a chuckle, we are not sleepless. Every practice and every time spirit vision is used excessively, you will need some sleep. You can go back and have a good rest. In the afternoon, go to Iron Cross Street where Welch's place is and walk around. Try your best to find clues and about the Anticonus family's notebook as soon as possible. Tomorrow I'll continue teaching you about mysticism. Of course, do not forget to read historical documents. Wow. So, we became a Beyonder now. Klein mastered spirit vision, at least he knows, like, it clicked for him, I guess, or grasped it. I'm guessing the more in sequence you go, the less exhausting it will be. And maybe him being a seer, which is a lot of mysticism and a lot of, like, magic, maybe it's also easier for Klein as well, compared to, like, let's say a Marauder or Apprentice. Their, like, spirit vision is even weaker. Come on, you can do it, I believe in you. Do you mean saying cogitation? Alright, Klein was in full agreement with old Neil's arrangements. He picked up his cane and left his alchemy room. He watched the door close as old Neil returned to the armory. Klein massaged his glabella and the temples, and with the help of his cane sauntered up the stairwell. At that moment, Don Smith came from behind him with the corners of his lips hooked. With a deep gaze, he said, I heard from old Neil that you are a very suitable candidate. Even without cogitation, you were able to use spirit vision. Perhaps it's a unique trait of being a seer, replied Klein humbly. Damn, humble. I guess that Don had been watching the armory of old Neil. Don slowed down and went ahead of Klein a little. After a few seconds of silence, he turned around and said, you have to remember that curiosity killed the cat. It can also kill Beyonders. Do not attempt to probe the murmurings you should not be listening, or seeing existences you should not see. Damn! Damn, done. Also, you have to remember that curiosity killed the cat. I like that. Reading the physical version of Volume 1 right now, and low-key liked a slightly different translation. I think this is the best translation, right? Or that's what like people said. I'm not sure though. Alright, Klein knew this was another reminder of how Beyonders lose control. After entering Blackthorn Security Company, he greeted Roseanne, who obviously did not know that he had become a Beyonder. He slowly walked out the door and reached the streets where they took trackless carriage to Daffodil Street. He nearly fell asleep on his return journey. He's so tired from using that. Oh my god. Serious Secret Sign is low-key doo-doo. It is really doo-doo. It's support role, basically. It was still in the morning and the temperature was about 26 degrees Celsius. That's good. That's too hot for me, man. Very good temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. It's a good t-shirt weather. Anyway. Klein pulled out the copper key from his waistband and opened the door to his home. There were still many items missing from his home. The living room and dining hall were still empty. Benson and Melissa had work or school, so they had both left early in the morning. Physical flows better. I'm buying the physical one soon on Amazon. Of course, like I'm gonna still be reading from here because you guys can see as well, but I'm gonna put it in my background, you know. I like to support Cuttlefish, or we should support him because he made this, and that I like. Klein did not have the capacity to bother with anything else. He closed the door and briskly went to the second floor, entered the bookshelf-equipped bedroom that belonged to him. After taking off his tuxedo and hanging it on the clothing rack, he eagerly plunged into the bed. The moment his head hit the pillow, he fell asleep. Damn, it took out so much of him. Klein was awoken by a bright sunlight. He turned his head and slowly opened his eyes to discover the burning sun outside. What time is it? Did I miss the Tarot Club in the afternoon? Oh no! Please don't miss the Tarot Club! He struggled to get up and walk to the clothing rack to take out his pocket watch from the pocket of the tuxedo inner lining. Not only had he forgotten about the matter, he had forgotten to close the door to his bedroom and pulled the curtains to the oriel window. Pah! Klein pulled out the pocket watch and immediately felt relieved when he opened it. It was slightly past noon. Okay, good. Thank God he didn't miss it. There was still a lot of time until the scheduled gathering at 3 in the afternoon. I can't wait for the next Tarot Club meeting. It was Monday, the day he would have gathered with the Hanged Man and Justice. Klein went into the thought as he tapped his glabella twice. The scene before him changed once again as he saw his body had been restored to a bright luster. He tapped twice again and stopped his spirit vision. Relaxed, he went to the first floor and boiled a kettle of water. He placed some inferior quality tea leaves and chewed on some rye bread, tapped in a little butter. Ooh, nice. Afterwards, Klein flipped through historical materials and Ocean Klein's diary. He began revising and consulting his knowledge. Hoo-hoo, look what I ran into by chance. Hoo-hoo, look what I ran into by chance. Hello, Chinese character name. At 2:57 p.m., Klein closed his book and capped his fountain pen before pulling the curtains. Immediately followed that, he locked the bedroom door. 3 minutes until the next Tarot Club meeting, by the way, to turn abnormally dark. He tapped his glabella twice and activated spirit vision to survey his surroundings. After confirming that there were no invisible spiritual bodies in his room, Klein stopped the spirit vision and took out his pocket watch to check the time. Tick tock, tick tock. 1 minute before 3, he opened up his pace and, like before, walked 4 steps in a counterclockwise manner. In squarish shape, he chanted in Chinese softly. Only this time he did not prepare any staple food. He doesn't need to. He has the 4 dots on his thing. Klein closed his eyes as he felt the back of his hand turn itchy. It felt like the 4 black dots forming a square were protruding and projecting something. Hysterical shouts and alluring murmurs began resounding, but Klein realized that the headache was not as bad as the first time. It was not that he was unaffected, but that he was doing his best to stop himself from listening. As a Beyonder, he had to have some self-control in such an environment. Soon his body turned light and he floated up. He saw the grayish white and blurry fog. Let's go. That emanated. Then he saw dark red stars. So that's Justice and Hanged Man. Two of them had a minuscule connection with him, with an abnormal sense of familiarity. Klein looked at his blurry self and muttered in confusion. The astral projection that old Neil mentioned. Ooh, there we go, by the way. He remained calm for a few seconds and again transformed into a opulent divine palace with tall bronze table under the domed ceiling, as well as 22 high-back chairs. 22, wow. That corresponded to different constellations. Klein calmly walked to the seat of honor and made his body and face immersed in thicker grey fog. He extended his right hand and tapped two familiar deep red stars and created a miraculous connection. Okay, let's go. Ooh, this is it, guys. Next one will be the second Tarot Club meeting, which people were glazing so hard that they didn't like the Donghua. And one of the main reasons was there were not enough Tarot Club meetings, or the Donghua like glanced over them. So I'm so excited. Now, Klein learned to use Spirit Vision. Dan reminded Klein that, oh, don't follow the murmurings, you're gonna lose control. You know how that's gonna work out, right? And old Neil is in trouble. Old Neil is being corrupted by the Hidden Sage. Anyway, let's go with chapter 34, Advance Payment. I'm guessing we're talking about Audrey here. It's quite nice to hear the novel for the 20th time. Wow. Let's wait like 1 minute, guys. 1 second. With an important email. Okay. Around 5th time. Who else is reading the novel aside from Easy and Wheeze? Wheeze? I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name. Besides being good content, the weekly meetings also serve well as ways to progress the novel. I think also... Yeah, that's true, by the way, Kilga. I think David Taku is gonna read the novel as well. So you can check him out. If you want more... Started already or not? But I know that he's thinking about it, I think. Okay, 34. We're gonna start reading in 10 seconds. Okay. Second meeting. Let's go. Advance payment. This is a Spanish guy. Okay. You guys like watch him? If you're Spanish, you can watch him, I guess. An underground basement without any windows. The burly... Oh, wait. The burly Alger Wilson sat by a long table with various apparatuses and goatskin and parchment on it. What are apparatuses? Let's look it up together. Apparatuses are a set of materials. Okay. In front of him was a half-consumed candle. The dim yellowish flame flickering made the shadows of the objects and table move like a mirage. Like a mirage or mirage. Olger's hair was disheveled like a seaweed with a deep blue color that resembled black. He wore a robe with lightning patterns embroidered on it. He clasped his hands with his thumbs facing each other while he focused on a bottle of black liquid to the left of the candle. Damn, he's a daddy, right? Whoosh, 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 splash, splash, splash. The sound of tempestuous winds on the crashing of the sea waves howled from inside the sealed bottle. Ooh. And there was, and in spots where the black ink did not sink, a faint fog would swirl. It was though it grew eyes and a mouth. Is that like a sailor potion, maybe? A bottle of black liquid felt of the candle. Olger cocked his head to glance at the clock hanging on the wall and watched the needle strike 3. He pressed down on his temple as his eyes turned dark. Fascinating colors surfaced from various items on the table. Maybe it's ingredients for a potion then, not the potion itself. At the moment, he discovered a deep red light appear like a tidal wave from nowhere, drowning him instantly. Okay, so that's how Olger transported to the second meeting. Okay, now Audrey. Backland Empress Borough, inside the Hall's family luxurious mansion. After dismissing her dance teacher, Audrey locked the door and sat straight up in front of her dressing table. The sun outside was bright and gorgeous. There was a light brown notebook made of exquisite goatskin. It was flipped open to reveal that it was blank. To its right was a fountain pen with a golden tip and emmed rubies. Audrey did a test and made sure that she could pick up the fountain pen and write down the formula at the moment she left the gathering. I'm so looking forward to it. She inhaled to repress her excited emotions as she looked at the mirror with puckered lips. However, she did not see it reflect herself. Instead, a dark red and illusory beam burst out from her body. Damn, okay. Above the grey fog stood a majestic divine hall that looked like a giant residence. So that's... we actually see Audrey and Olger. I guess we saw that in Donghua as well, but in Donghua it was like over in 5 seconds. Here we got more of a description as well. Dark red colors bloomed on both sides of the bronze table. They surged upwards like a fountain before battering down. It carved two blurry figures who sat in the same spots as before. Audrey, with her soft blonde hair and tall slim build, instinctively looked toward the seat of honor. She saw the figure immersed in thick grey fog sitting back. One hand was flat touching the table side while the other hand was stroking his chin. Ooh. Good afternoon, Mr. Fool. Good afternoon, Mr. Fool, Audrey shouted with a cheery voice. Following that, she turned her head and looked at the person opposite of her. With the same tone, she said, Good afternoon, Mr. Hanged Man. The lady sure is unsophisticated. Is she so sure that I'm a good person? Why isn't there any fear from her? Is she a noble lady who has been protected well? Klein smiled and maintained his unfathomable image. Good afternoon, Miss Justice. Ooh. As he spoke, he lowered his head slightly and moved his left hand and tapped his glabella twice. What he saw changed instantly. He saw Justice and Hanged Man emit the colors of their aura, and surrounding grey fog and dark red stars remained the same. Nothing that seemingly did not exist, nor lustrous brilliances that possessed life was seen. He shifted his gaze and saw that Justice's aura perfectly matched the colors old Neil described. What was supposed to be red, purple, blue, or white were their respective colors. Furthermore, they maintained a lustrous brilliance and were of appropriate thickness. It was easy to tell that she was a vibrant young girl. Okay, the colors of her emotions in red and yellow, that's joy, zeal, and excitement. Klein made a judgment before casting his attention towards the Hanged Man. Like Justice, there was nothing special about the colors of the Hanged Man's aura. His emotions were blue, mixed in with some orange. Calm, thoughtful, careful. Oh my god, joy, zeal, and excitement is what I will describe Audrey, by the way. Calm, thoughtful, and careful. A little pleased, also. What's up, Emirhan? With this being his first attempt, Klein made a conclusion without much confidence. Just as he shifted his gaze away, he suddenly realized something strange. The aura of the Hanged Man innermost layer was nearly of the same color. Ooh. Okay, Klein focused his mind and took another careful look. He could faintly see that deep within the Hanged Man ether body was a deep blue, akin to the sea. It felt like a tidal storm. So that's probably because he's on the sailor pathway, right? What's up, Saza? How are you doing? So I'm guessing that's That's why. His astral projection, or should I say the surface of his astral projection, from the looks of it, is really a beyonder. Yeah, and one that's aberrantly stronger than old Neil. Sequence 8, right? Klein analyzed as his mind was filled with questions. Not necessarily. It might have to do with this being a unique environment. It's only because this is my home ground that I'm able to see things that old Neil did not manifest. He turned his head toward Justice again and confirmed that it was characteristic only Beyonders possessed. At that moment, Olger also completed his greetings. Audrey drew a light gasp as she asked in anticipation, "Mr. Hangman, did you receive the box of Coast Shark blood?" Olger took a look at Klein and saw him tapping his clampella as though he was considering other matters. "Thankfully. Thank you very much. It's perfect, met my expectations. I never expected you to send it to me quickly. The ghost shark blood is not a typical extraordinary creature." It's not a typical extraordinary creature, said Olger frankly. Aldrich smiled humbly and said, "I'm very happy to see this outcome." Can you share the name of the music? Sure. I'm gonna watch RMCI tomorrow. Here you go. Oh, I gave you the wrong link, sorry. Your conversation very much like the contents of my textbook when I was studying English at school. I love it, Eurytic. That's the music I'm listening. Audrey smiled and humbly said, "I'm very happy to see this outcome." As she loved anything to do with mystery from a young age, she had befriended those in aristocratic circles with similar interest. Of course, they have exchanged information, books, and rare artifacts among each other. But before this, none of them had ever obtained any supernatural power to become a real beyonder. Instead, there were a few princes that hinted that they could give her what she wanted if she became their princess consort. Dude, Audrey is like a demoness. Her beauty is next level, I'm just saying. Okay, Dikisima. Kiss me. Bye. Also, obviously, check out Lord of the Mystery. It's really good. However, she had obtained the ghost shark blood directly from her family's vault. Ooh, after all, the inventory only states one big bottle without mentioning how many milliliters or how full it had to be. She believed that pouring a little bit of it... Oh my god, she stole it from her family! Wow! A little bit of it would go unnoticed, even if she was it was an accident and the matter was exposed. Her parents were unlikely to preserve the matter. Olger looked deeply at the fool who was enveloped in fog before turning his head back with a smile. "According to our agreement, I will tell you the formula to the potion, spectator. Let me prepare myself. Alright. Let me prepare myself. Alright, begin." Audrey inhaled as she focused her full attention. "Low sequence potions are very easy to concoct. Just follow the order they provide you. Do remember that there can be smaller quantities of the ingredients, but not more. It will cause major problems. You should have heard about news or beyonders losing control. I believe there's no need for me to repeat it. Olger first mentioned things to take note of." Audrey nodded gently and said, "I understand completely." While she spoke, she turned her head to look at Mr. Fool. She wished to know if the mystery expert had anything to add. The mystery expert. How can you steal something that's yours? Stealing from her parents, I mean, or like family. Mystery expert, yeah. Had anything to add? Unfortunately, the fool was sitting silently like a statue. Olger thought for a moment before saying, "Having smaller quantities does not mean it should deviate by too much. If you do not have an assistant, I suggest you spend some time familiarizing yourself with chemistry experiments." Susie is gonna be her assistant. "A family tutor for such matters," answered Audrey without feeling the burden. After Olger mentioned the furthest extent of the deviation, he recited with great fluency. "Spectator, sequence 9 potion, 80 milliliters of pure water, 5 drops of autumn crocus essence, 13 grams of cow teeth, panul powder, 7 petals of elf flowers, a matured manhal fish eyeball. Add 35 milliliters of goat-horned black fish blood. Damn, okay. The final 2 items are the main ingredients. They are extraordinary creatures from the sea. You have to be careful. Alright, Audrey recalled and repeated 80 millimeters of pure water, 5 drops of autumn crocus essence, 13 grams of cow teeth, panul powder, reminded Olger. With his help, Audrey gradually and precisely memorized the formula's order. However, she appeared worried as she mumbled again and again. I will forget, man. What happened to Jimmy? Who's Jimmy? Audrey is mine. You guys can chill on her. Get him. Guys, get him. Do you know about... No, not that word again. You know about... You know about cogitation? When Olger saw Justice nod, he continued, I do not know how much you know about... when Olger saw Justice nod, he continued, I do not know how much you know about cogitation. Let me describe it once more. After consuming the potion, quickly begin cogitation to control your spirituality and energy. Make sure to practice every day to truly grasp the powers of the potion. Dig out the meaning it symbolizes and even more of its mysteries. That way you can avoid the danger of losing control. The greatest extent and the meaning of a potion mainly lies in the name, such as spectator. Okay, Klein, it's your time to aura farm. You're gonna tell them, you're gonna lock the fuck in and say, it's about acting, not through understanding it. Klein silently listened to the conversation and had no plans of interrupting. All he did was secretly memorize and study, but when he heard that he suddenly had a thought. Audrey listened to the hanged man's explanation attentively, and just as she was about to inquire about something more detailed, she suddenly heard the rapping sound of a table. She and Olger turned their heads and looked at the fool. They realized that the mysterious and mighty figure was tapping gently with his fingers. He said in a deep voice, it's not about grasping them, but rather digesting them. It's not about discovery, but rather acting. The name of a potion is not only symbolic, it's also imaginary. It is the key to this digesting. Audrey was dazed and confused from hearing that. She was not very clear on what Mr. Fool was trying to express. She subsequently eyed the hanged man for a reaction from the corner of her eyes. She was surprised to see him jolt and freeze. It was as thought an ordinary person had heard a loud sudden clap of thunder. Digesting, acting, digesting, acting, digesting, acting, key. Olga repeated again and again softly as though he had grasped a key concept or had succumbed to a strange curse. After a while, he raised his head and said with a hoarse voice, Thank you, Mr. Fool. Your hint is as valuable as my life. You have enlightened me greatly, of course. I believe I have yet to fully understand or comprehend it. Klein maintained his mysterious and unfathomable image by saying with a smile, that was advance payment. In fact, he did not truly understand the exact meaning of what was said. He was just certain that Emperor Cell was more powerful than the typical Beyonder and stronger than the Hanged Man. Advance payment? Audrey looked at the Hanged Man reaction and knew that the hint from before was precious. As she ruminated over it, she asked, Mr. Fool, what do you wish us to do? Opposite to her, Olger said with a nod, What matter might you wish to entrust us with? Klein leaned back slightly as he glanced at the two of them before saying in a soft and pleasant voice, Collect yourselves, Gustav's secretary, on my behalf, even if it's just 1 page of it. Damn. Wow. This is... do we not get tired of reading out loud? No. I did 15 chapters last Sunday. My voice does hurt a little bit when I voice act, but it's fine. I drink coffee and it fixes itself. Anyway, the second Tarot Club meeting was very similar how it was in the Donghua, right? I think most things, or like 100% of things, was covered also in Donghua, so there was not much difference. Though I really love the monologuing and lampooning of Klein. Also, I like how it's a lot more detailed and also how Klein and Audrey were doing before coming here, right? I can't wait for the third meeting. I think the meeting is now over, right? Chapter 35. Maybe this will continue, actually. Wow, this was actually... Like, I got chills reading that. 1 second. Thank you for coming, by the way. If you're enjoying the stream, please subscribe, like. I'm gonna be streaming 3-4 times a week. We're gonna do a minimum of 30 chapters every week. Oh, sorry, not minimum, maximum of 30 chapters per week. Sorry, I misspoke. Roselle Gustav's secret diary, Emperor Roselle. Indeed, only such matters are worth the concern of a mighty figure like Mr. Fool. Oh my god, the glazing starts. Reacted to it, Lucy Ram. Actually, there's a lot of new people here. This is the video posted by yesterday. Clip. I'm gonna show you again, guys. Before we continue. Clip this. And I'm serious. I'm gonna unmode you, man. If we reach 250 Patreons, I'll make an OnlyFans. Done stroked his pipe. Who wants to do some cockfighting? Did your buns come out soft? If you need Leo Clean art for OnlyFans, just ask. So we're actually doing that. Don't gonna stroke my pipe. Old Neil juice. Guys, do you wanna cockfight? I'm up to some cockfighting. I'm not even joking. This was AI, by the way. That's not me. Also, try my Discord, guys. Thank you for joining. We can discuss a lot of topics, like cockfighting, I guess. Anyway. Roselle Gustav, secret diary, Emperor Roselle. Indeed, only such matters are worth the concern of a mighty figure like Mr. Fool. Audrey was first taken aback before she realized that she found it nothing surprising. Rumor had it that Emperor Roselle had only seen a blasphemous slate. It was said that the secret cards declared he the 22 paths of divine. This was something every high sequence beyonder will definitely pay attention to. Diary? That's a diary. Olga frowned slightly as he nearly noticed this tidbit. The item which Roselle Gustav had left behind had been described by Mr. Fool as a diary. How did he know? How did he determine it? Could he know the way to decipher Roselle's cryptic text? Damn. Wow. Playing Audioverse archives? No, I like reading. I might ball it, but I low-key like reading. Because I like voice act, like I like messing around with chat as well. Like I don't know, I like it. I'm vibing with it. Do you like me reading? We're gonna be listening like this, you know? Oh. Wow. Like that. Faced with the hanged man's question and having obtained the desired effect, Klein leaned back into his chair and interlocked his hands. He answered in a relaxed manner. Let us first view. It is a diary for now. He did not deny or confirm it. Audrey had heard the children of other nobles mention the matter. However, she had never really learned much of it. With her curiosity piqued, she asked, "It is said that Emperor Roselle, diary was written in cryptic language or symbols he invented." Yes, answered Olga simply. Some people believe that it's a unique set of symbols from mysticism. Others put it as Firecliff, but up to today, no one has found the correct way of deciphering it. At the very least, that's all I know. With that said, he turned his head and at Klein in a bid to get some confirmation or show his suspicion. They are texts that have been passed down for generations, so are no longer in their original state. According to your line of thought, how can it be deciphered? Klein maintained his calm as he secretly gave ourselves deprecating laugh. As for how to handle the symbols of mysticism, instantly thought of a ridiculous and funny scene. Dressed in a black pointed hat and a long robe, an evil mage pulls up his sleeve to reveal a symbol tattooed on his arms. It was said that this was a symbol with mysterious power left behind by Emperor Cell. They were written in 2 blue large simplified Chinese characters. Retarded Joker. Klein's humor is insane, by the way. Retarded Joker. Music is too loud, thank you. Is it better now? I love Klein's humor, man. The corners of Klein's mouth curved up slowly as he found himself in a good mood. After hearing the hanged man description, Audrey said in a stumped manner, "We can't understand the symbols or the words. Then how are we supposed to pass the information to you, Mr. Fool? Or are we to mail it somewhere?" This is quite an important question. I do not have the means to accept an item secretly. Oh my god, is Klein gonna give his address? Klein was in no hurry to answer. He repeatedly released his thumbs from his interlocked hands before tapping them back again. Soon he thought of a solution. Since I can create the divine palace and table according to my wishes in here, would it be possible to project the content of the minds of others here? Ooh, I'll give it a try. At that moment, Audrey and Olga saw Mr. Fool slowly sit up amid the thick grayish fog. Miss Justice, let us give it a try. Imagine a paragraph of text and give it emotions of writing it with urgency. Yes, pick it up, the fountain pen beside you, and write on the piece of paper. Before Klein finished his sentence, Audrey saw a piece of yellowish-brown coatskin parchment and a dark red fountain pen in front of her. She picked up the fountain pen both curiously and doubtfully. In accordance with instructions, she imagined a poem Emperor Cell once wrote. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? Adapted from an Ode to the Wind, which is an ode written by Percy Psyche Shirley. Oh my god! Cuttlefish is very well read, right? Cuttlefish keeps putting like real works of people as references into the novel. I like that. Unk's back. Thank God, Constantine. Did you run away from the thrones? I'm glad you're back, dude. After scrutinizing text, she picked up her fountain pen and imbued them with the desire of projecting them out. Klein sensed the emotions and, using the fountain pen as medium, he guided her. The moment Audrey landed her fountain pen, she saw a line appear on coatskin parchment. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? Goddess, how fascinating. Audrey exclaimed in astonishment while feeling rueful. It works, wow. Following that, she looked at Klein with some fear. Mr. Fool, can you read what I'm thinking? No. I'm only guiding you. I simplified the process of writing for you and made it become an imprint. If you did not wish to express it, nothing would appear. Klein placed her fine balance at her with a low tone. Placated? 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 What the fuck is this word?
Placated.
Placated. Make someone less angry. Oh. Is that so? Then we can only memorize the symbols or the way the scripted text looks like. Then we can present it directly to your wish. Oh, is that so? Then we can only memorize symbols or the way the cryptic text looks like. Then we can present it directly as we wish. Audrey heaved a sigh of relief as she asked in enlightenment. Yes, Klein answered. It's not a bad method, Miss Justice. Do not doubt your memory. After becoming a spectre, you will receive immense improvement in this aspect. Olga had watched the attempt from the side, fully coming to the realization that the fool was more powerful and mysterious than he imagined. As for his memory, he believed that the next advancement would improve it sufficiently. Regarding this, Audrey nodded in delight. You have delighted me with this reminder, Mr. Hangman. You have delighted me with this reminder, Mr. Hangman. Do you have any other guidance on spectators? With that said, she looked toward the seat of honor. Mr. Fool, I will work hard to complete your mission. I will do not best to gather more of Emperor Cell's secret diary. I mentioned I mentioned before that I'm a person who likes a fair and equal exchange. The advance payment I gave is only equivalent. I mentioned before that I'm a calm person who likes a fair and equal exchange. The advance payment I gave is only equivalent to 2 pages of diary for each person. If there are more, I will give additional in return, Klein said calmly, like he was an adult who did not take advantage of children. Oh wow. As for where the additional payment could come from, it was naturally from the newly acquainted Emperor Cell's diary pages. This formed a virtuous cycle. You truly are a generous gentleman. Alger fell silent for a few seconds before bowing slightly with his hand by his chest. After the bow, he turned to Justice and said, "Let me emphasize once more, a spectator will forever be a spectator." Oh, because you can't change unless you are ints. I know that I know that many spectators enjoy imagining themselves to be more protagonist or some other character. As a result, they invest a lot of feelings into it, to the point of crying, laughing, raging, and turning sorrowful because of the trauma. However, that is not what a spectator should do. While faced with the various traumas of society and figures who knowingly or unknowingly act the role of particular characters, you have to maintain the attitude of being an absolute bystander. Only then you can calmly and objectively observe them. You will discover their habits, their tics from lying, or their scent of nervousness from those minute clues you can grasp their true thoughts. I love being a spectator. What? Believe me, everyone is different because of their emotions. They will secret different things and different smells. However, only a real spectator can sniff it out. Once you invest too many of your emotions, your observation will be influenced. Your sensitivity towards the emotions of others will deviate. Wow. Okay. Audrey listened attentively as her eyes brightened gradually. It sounds really interesting. Ryan's heart stirred when he heard that. Spectator potion requirement, when summarized, seemed to be an absolutely objective and neutral spectator. In particular sense, it was equivalent to acting. Acting? Was this the acting which Emperor Cell was referring to? Then, will I have to act as seer? And from there, the chest, the potion bit by... Yes, exactly, Klein. Let's go. Just as Klein was immersing himself in thought, Olger finished explaining the demands he knew of a spectator. He sighed before saying, It seems like there's nothing else. Perhaps we can have a casual chat, we can talk about things happening around us. Perhaps it's something very normal to you, but in the ears of others it might be a very important clue. Sure, Klein snapped back and nodded slightly. He was already planning to attempt to act as seer. After all, it did not seem like there were any negative effects from doing so. Then shall we begin with you, Mr. Hanged Man? Audrey agreed in excitement. Alger thought for a moment before saying, The infamous pirate who calls himself Admiral Ludfell has begun his voyage to explore the eastern end of the Sonia Sea again. Ooh, interesting. Another pirate mentioned. Are there like 4 emperors or something? We know another pirate, Chan Ling. I kind of keep forgetting his name, but from the special trailer as well, right? So we have another one named Lodwell, Chilangos. Why can't I remember that? I'm gonna actually write it down. I'm gonna put it in my notes. I'm gonna put them in Notepad right now. What the fuck happened? Okay, I'm gonna put Chilangos and Lodwell pirate admirals. It's fine for now. Chilangos? Okay. I'm gonna put them in my doc later. Elgar thought for a moment before saying the infamous pirate who calls himself Admiral Luntwell has begun his voyage toward the eastern end of the Sonia Sea again. So, the age of exploration is still going on? Like, are you saying that there are lands that haven't been discovered yet? That's so cool. Oh, the owner of the Black Tulip, returned Audrey with a question after some thought. Yes, Elgar replied with a nod. I don't even know who that is, Klein listened silently while he pondered over the news he planned on sharing. It had to be something that did not expose him while also allowing him to gain feedback. Soon he decided to maintain his unfathomable image as the fool and caressed the side of the bronze table with his fingers. According to what I know, the Secret Order has lost an Antigone Samurai notebook. This news was not only known by the Nighthawks from Dingen City, but the Secret Order as well as beyonders with close ties with them similarly new. Antigone's notebook, Algar repeated before smiling with a shake of his head. I'm really curious as to what reaction the Church of Evernight will have if they learn of it. Why would he mention the Church of Evernight? Klein acutely sensed the problem, but it was not appropriate from the ask. I'm guessing it's because the Evernight goddess destroyed the families. Wait, no, that was in the 4th epoch. Never mind. Oh, Antigone was also in the 4th epoch. Yeah. Right? That's what Algar is mentioning, I guess. We have seen a map in all Neil's lesson, and like I remember there being like multiple continents as well, and like the land of forsaken gods kind of looked like Europe to me. I'm guessing it was like influenced by the real world map. That will shatter his image as the mysterious and prominent fool. At that moment, Audrey asked out of curiosity, "Why are you so curious? What sort of special reaction will the goddess search have?" Olga smiled and, oh my god, fucking Audrey with an assist right now. Olga smiled and said, Antigone, whose family is destroyed by the Church of Evernight. There we go. There we go. We learned about it here as well. I'm not really sure if it happened at the end of 4th epoch or the early stage of the present epoch. This Klein pupil constrided as a chill suddenly swept through him. From the looks of it, the value of Nighthawks have placed on this Antigone's notebook far exceeds my imagination. The reason why they nominated me as Beyonder having some contribution and to prevent danger to me likely negligible reasons is that they wish for me to raise my spiritual sensitivity to aid them in finding the notebook. This was not kept from me by Captain. He had mentioned it, but it just didn't pay much attention to it. Yeah, Tom didn't mention it. He had mentioned it, but Klein didn't, yeah. After hearing the hanged man's explanation, Audrey said with deep interest, I never imagined that such a thing would happen. Alright, my turn, let me think of what I have to share. She cocked her head and held her head up with her hand before chuckling. Yesterday, my etiquette teacher taught me how to faint elegantly without any faux pas. It's practical skill use social events to avoid awkward situations or nasty guys. I was just organizing my thoughts. What I really want to say is that... It's a weird thing to say, Audrey. What I really want to say is that ever since the failure of the Battle of Palam's eastern shore, the king, premier, and gentlemen are under immense stress. They eagerly wish to change. The Battle of Palam's eastern shore. Where's Palam? 5 season Dingen City map. Ooh. The physical Hong Kong release. Interesting. Moretti should be Moledi. Anyway, so after yapping, Audrey shared an info about a battle on the eastern shore. So we are fighting with the southern continent, right? I'm thinking that. But where is Palam? The king, premier, and gentlemen are under immense stress. Okay. Ever since the failure, that means it was in the past. And it doesn't mean it has to be recently as well, right? Okay, let's see if the meeting is going to continue or not. We learned about an admiral called Ludwell. Apparently he's doing stuff in exploring the eastern Sonia Sea, or end of eastern Sonia Sea. That means that age of exploration is still going on. And Audrey got his recipe as well. Anyway, a simple question. I'm gonna come right back. I'm gonna go get some more water and go to the bathroom, and we're gonna read 2 more chapters, I think. So yeah, be right back. I'm back. A simple question, eh? This is like a white bar under. Can you see that? I'll fix it. There we go. Maybe that was bothering somebody. Let's keep reading. A simple question. While Audrey recalled the conversation between her father and the elder brother about the situation, she put in her own words. They believe that the government structure is too chaotic. Every election, if there is a chance of the ruling party, there will be a change of personnel from top to bottom. It makes things a mess and lowers efficiency immensely. Not only it causes the battle loss, it also brings great inconvenience to the civilians. Klein knew very well that as there was no example to reference, the Loan Kingdom had yet to evolve into a system that examined public servants. Yeah, true. The political situation was still its preliminary stages. Therefore, after every election victory, many so-called positions will be awarded to members and supporters. Emperor Cell not establishing such an institution in Intis does not match his personality. Could it be that he diverted his focus to other things later in life? When the hanged man Alger heard that, he interjected with a soft chuckle. They believe? Then their beliefs are a little slow. Perhaps they will only feel a itch a year after they get bitten by a black mosquitoes. Black mosquitoes were a type of creature that resided in the south of the Loan Kingdom. It was extremely venomous, and its venom made victims have the urge to rip apart their skin. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. I do not want that explanation, bro. That's a very good to say, by the way. Very good to say that perhaps they will only feel the itch a year after they get bitten. I like that. It's symbolic. Audrey extended their palm and covered her mouth, ignoring the hanged man's mockery. She expressed the core information of what she said. Unfortunately, they are temporarily unable to find a good solution to replace this system. Klein listened carefully and felt that topic was in the domain of expertise. He smiled faintly and said, "It is a simple problem. The Futaholic Empire and the descendant countries that studied the Futaholic Empire had very advanced experience of success." Simple? Audrey returned the question in puzzlement. Although her education did not include politics, she often heard from discussions of her father, brother, and people around her. She had a sufficient understanding of similar matters. Klein felt as though he had returned to the message boards of yesteryear. Composed, he said, "An examination, just like a central examination for college. Hold an exam is open to the public. It can be split into 2 rounds or 3. Use the most objective method to select the elite." But Audrey knew that sort of objection this would entail. By the way, aristocrats will hate this idea. We saw that Audrey's dad agreed, but aristocrats will hate this idea because from now on, peasants can climb the ladder and become important positions in the public office. And you know what rich people hate the most? Peasants. Before she had the chance to arrange their thoughts, Klein continued, after which used these elites to fill the positions of the cabinet, the county government, the city government, and the various towns. Yes, the positions that are directly handling matters such as secretary of the cabinet. Different positions should be given different requirements. The second or third rounds can be decided based on local and region. Professional matters should be left to the professionals. What happened? What happened, guys? The stream go down? As for political positions such as ministers, governors, and mayors, they will be left to parties that win the election. That is a slice of the pie they deserve. Alger, who lacked interest in such matters, unknowingly turned his head and listened carefully. Audrey frowned slightly as she fell into deep thought. There's no hurry in replacing everyone at once. There's no hurry in replacing everyone at once. The cabinet and various agencies in civil service will be crippled if that happens. You can have an explanation every year or every 3 years. They can be gradually replaced. Finally, in light of the kingdom's expansion and the salaried civil servants resignations that will bring in vacancies, you can systematically allot spots. Klein fully expressed his talent as a keyboard politician. Keyboard politician, bro. He then faced his palm northward and said, "Such a design can bring the kingdom insightful elites into the government. Regarding of the party in power or who the minister is, the civil service will allow the kingdom to maintain its basic and effective operations." Damn, he cooked hard with this. Of course, side effect was the birth of the undying devil that was bureaucracy. While considering the suggestion, Audrey asked doubtfully, "Are you implying that even if those ministers become curly-haired baboons, the effects will be insignificant?" "No," Olga interjected suddenly. "I believe that baboons are better choice than the present ministers." Wow, that's crazy. Now remember how plain it was in the cartoon? Exactly, dude. In the cartoon, we open exams for everyone to take and decide the servants. But here, Klein actually explained all the things that can go wrong and gave solutions to every problem that might come up, right? You said cartoon, by the way, that's crazy. He paused before adding, "After all, baboons only need to eat, sleep and mate. They will not become up with foolish ideas and insist on painless projects." Wow, Olga. "Mr. Hangman, it sounds like you have quite a terrible superior." Klein sat at his seat and Honor and shook his head in silent amusement. Audrey ruminated over the suggestion. Mr. Vovathoffen, after a while, said in surprise, "It sounds like it actually might work." It's very simple but very effective solution." She looked at Klein and sincerely marveled. "Mr. Fool, you must be elderly person with outstanding intelligence who is very experienced in life." No, Klein is not an unk. The corners of Klein's mouth twitched a little as he looked at the hanged man and Justice for a few silent seconds. "Let us end today's gathering here. If Miss Justice is able to influence her family and effect change on this matter, I can quite Benson ahead of time and give him a chance and become a civil servant." Oh my god, yeah, true. On careful thought, Benson was indeed suitable for such a career. And Benson was also learning accountancy, right? However, it's unlikely Justice will take the initiative to do it. This is because the hanged man and I can easily find out which noble succeeded it and basically guess her identity. Oh, but I don't think Justice will think about that. Of course, she will do it truly a roundabout manner secretly. "By your will." Audrey and Olga stood up together. Klein leaned back slightly and served the connection. He saw Justice and the hanged man's illusory and blurry figures instantly shatter and dissipate. Out of the grey fog in the opulent palace where God seemingly lived, he was the only one sitting silently at the head of the bronze table. And Klein did not plunge into great fog like the other time to leave. This was because his mind was still energetic enough after becoming a Beyonder. Oh, here we go already. Klein being a Beyonder, paying off. He can stay in the great fog for longer. Last time his head started to hurt, right? He lost control and had to stop the grey fog because it was hurting him. The reason why he had ended the Carrot Club early was because he learned that the true attitude Nighthawk had towards the Anticonus notebook. He decided that he had to search it for it seriously and not sleep all the way. Doing so would make Don Smith suspicious of his activities at home. True. Furthermore, he had benefited quite a lot this time. And also, I think Audrey and Olger see you as a lot more wise now because you showed them two methods. First of all, the examination. Second of all, the acting method, right? And Olger was glazing you so hard. So I think any suspicion that Audrey and Olger had of you being a fraud is now gone, right? Klein sat on the high back chair at the head of the bronze table. His arms leaned on the armrest as he crossed his fingers while he observed the boundless grey fog carefully. He's aura forming himself, by the way. Nobody's looking at him. He's still aura forming. He found the place serene as though no one had stepped into it for 10 million years. Wow. When he established the connection to summon the hanged man and Justice, he actually noticed something. He acutely noticed something. There was the fact that Beyonder itself, he had the ability to touch another dark red star. Derek? No way, Derek already. Does this mean I can summon one more? Klein recalled the feeling and muttered in confirmation. However, he did not have the urge to make an attempt, since he did not know what the identity of the newcomer would be, or what sort of attitude they would have. After all, not everyone was like Justice and Hanged Man, who had unique personalities that easily blended in and took whatever they needed. They even seemed willing to conceal matters. If he pulled someone like Dunn, then the mysterious organization he had just established would instantly come under the watch of the church. Yeah, exactly. As an evil organization boss, the future will be worrying. Klein knew that the Grey Fog was special. He knew it was not something a Beyonder at Dunn Smith sequence could see through. But the problem was that since he had the powers of a Beyonder, he had to consider the existence of gods. Klein had chosen to carefully believe that the 7 Orthodox gods existed in reality. Of course, he was more tenable to the belief that these gods were just more powerful than high sequence Beyonders. Furthermore, my theory still is that they are high sequence Beyonders. At least sequence 1, right? Furthermore, they were under a strict limitation at the very least. Ever since the 5th epoch, apart from a few oracles, they have not appeared again. Where are they then? Forcefully pulling people here isn't a good thing. No one would wish to be pulled into mystery for a baffling reason. Let's wait and see how things go in the future. Klein sighed and stood up. He released his spirituality. Wait, what? Let me cook, chat. What if... Okay, let's say that the gods are sequence 1 Beyonders. Now, what if they have unlocked godhood and like they have unlocked unimaginable power where they can transmigrate to different worlds as well? That's why they're not drowned anymore, and they're traveling in parallel universes, and one of those gods pulled in Klein from Earth. What if he released his spirituality and since his body existence, then he began imitating the heavy feeling of rapidly plunging down. The scenes in front of him changed. The grey fog and dark red instantly departed him. Klein felt like he had torn through endless water membranes before ultimately seeing the real world. His room in darkness. This time he was fully awake and seriously took in the entire experience. Strange, there are some differences between the grey fog and the spirit world. Klein moved his limbs and felt the existence of his body. After he seriously thought through the experience, he shook his head, walked to the desk and pulled open the curtains. Whoosh! The curtains were drawn as sunlight poured in, illuminating the room. As he looked at the street outside, the oriel window and the pedestrians going back and forth, Klein took a deep breath and muttered silently, "It's time to go out and work. How should I act as a seer? It cannot be rushed. All I can do is use spirit vision now." Wow. Damn, okay. So basically, the Grey Fog is like the spirit world, but obviously it has its own unique attributes, right? Backland Empress Borough. Oh, we're gonna see Audrey. Audrey looked at herself in the mirror. She saw her cheeks flushed red with excitement, and her eyes so bright that they would have daunted anyone from looking into them. She did not examine any of this as she assuredly recalled. She picked up the ruby-studded fountain pen and wrote the formula of the spectre potion on the exquisite goatskin parchment. 80 mils of pure water, 5 drops of autumn crocus essence, 13 grams of cow teeth banol powder, 7 petals of elf flower, a matured manhal fish eyeball, 35 mils of goat horn black fish blood. Phew! Oh my god, she remembered all of it. Good job. Audrey heaved a sigh of relief as she read it a few times to confirm that she had not made any mistakes. She had the urge to dance again, but reminded herself to remain restrained. After some thought, she began writing various chemical names around the potion's formula. She then faked the page into complicated messy chemistry. Yes, as long as one does not read it carefully, a person who flips through this randomly will not discover the deals have hidden in here. Good job, smart actually. Excellent, Audrey praised herself and turned her mind towards the acquirement of the materials. I'll first search the few vaults we have. I'll attempt to exchange for the missing parts with others. If I still can't gather them all, I can only seek help from Hanged Man or the Fool. What can I offer as payment? After some thought, Audrey closed the notebook and placed. I mean, also start looking for the diaries, right? Diary pages. After some thought, Audrey closed the notebook and placed it on tiny bookshelf. Following that, she briskly walked to the door and pulled it open. A golden retriever was sitting obediently outside. Yes, Susie. We saw. By the way, Susie. I have no I'm not even downplaying this, but Susie was so hyped in my Discord server that I'm losing my mind. In the Donghua, she was mentioned, and we saw her only once. Right? So, I can't wait for her to become a Beyonder. I can't wait for her to become an assistant to, what was it? Audrey. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see more of Susie and Audrey moments. She's just a dog. She's not only a dog. She's the dog. Can you remove me as a mod? What now, username? Someone in your account? Who is in your account, my guy? I removed you. Also, guys, if you enjoyed the stream, please subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Also, I want to mention, by the way, we have a poll. I see 50 people are in here. We have a poll going right now for another anime to watch. Right now, Apothecary Diaries is winning. Basically, we are doing a poll, and you guys should go and vote. And we're gonna do like 3-4 polls until we pick one that everyone wants. You know what I mean? Can't please everyone, but I'm doing a tournament arc. I voted for Apothecary Diaries. That's nice. I heard that Mushoku Tensei is actually Didi Tensei, so I don't know how I feel about that. I heard Monster is good. Everyone wants to see Apothecary Diaries, and then I had an option here that Kim is something else. So people can also comment what they wanna see, and then we're gonna do another poll, and then we're gonna put a winner from that poll against the winner of this poll, and you know, that's how we figure out the winner. We're gonna do like 3-4 polls. So always keep an eye on my community tab, guys. Monogatari, Monster, Apothecary Diaries, or Monster. Didi Tensei, there we go. Monster, Madoka Magica, Musoko, Somali and the Forest Spirit. Burst in the Wild Apothecary. From list, Monster. Musoko. Didi. Real Shadow Slave. Lord of Mysteries. Nah, if you react to Didi, then say I'm out. I have seen Steins Gate. Sorry. I'm so sorry. The corners of Audrey's mouth curled as she revealed a radiant smile. Susie, you completed the mission perfectly. In the serialized stories in the newspapers, detectives would often have a capable assistant. I think in the serialized stories in newspapers, detectives would often have a capable assistant. I think there should be a huge dog supporting a real spectator. Underground, oh my god, that's crazy. So that actually, I'm guessing, is gonna happen. I'm underground basement lit only by flickering candle. Olger Wilson raised his palm and looked at it carefully. So we're going to Olger now, which is cool. After a long while, he let out a sigh. It's still miraculous I was unable to figure out any specific details at all. Despite having made sufficient preparations, he failed to understand how the fool has completed the summoning. He moved his gaze down and looked at the coatskin parchment on the table in front of him. At the title head of the yellowish-brown parchment, there was Hermes' sentence written in dark blue ink. 7. Seafarer. Sequence 7 of Sailor is Seafarer. Ooh. Interesting. That's a new info, right? Unless I'm bugging. Mushoko Tensei. Anyway. Olger, Audrey's point of view, we saw them entering the Grey Fog, we saw them leave. We saw like a little bit before, a little bit after. I like that detail as well. So it feels like, that's really good for world building, by the way. I like seeing different parts of the world. Where's the fish pathway? New info unlocked. This is my pseudo notes right now. I will add it to my long list of notes later. It was mentioned anime. We can double check, guys. Let's see pathways. It's not written here. Though I stopped writing notes after like episode 10 or something. I don't know why. I guess, you know, I was being truly slothful. Here we go. Where's Bald? Here we go. These are my notes so far, by the way. Yeah, I have a lot of notes. Oh. Dalga tries to investigate the fog summoning. That's the missed details he missed. I have a funny Japanese accent. I have a funny... wait, I don't know how to do a Japanese accent. I like... no, I don't know. I'm not gonna try. Anyway. Great chapter again. We had the second meeting now closed. I really like how we get Audrey's point of view after and a little bit before. Also, this is the first moment Klein is thinking about acting as a seer. So I'm guessing in the future chapters or recent ones, we're gonna see Klein enter the, what's it called again? The Divination Club, right? And then we're gonna get introduced to the Aurora Order as well. Great chapter, I really enjoyed it. Let's read one more. B Club. Under the scorching afternoon sun, Klein left his house. Since he had to walk all the way from Iron Cross Street to Welch's place, he wore a linen shirt instead of a normal attire, on top hat and leather boots. He wore a matching brown coat, a round felt hat and a pair of old leather shoes. The way he did not need to worry that the stench of his sweat would contaminate the rather expensive suit. As he went down Daffodil Street, he strolled toward Iron Cross Street. When he passed by the square around the corner, he subsequently took a glance. The tenants had already vanished. The circus troupe from the core had left after finishing their performance. So, the clown left, and the circus as well, okay. An originally imagined animal trainer who had helped him tell his fortune to be a hidden expert. He believed she had purposely appeared to guide him after discovering something unique about him. By the way, I don't think that event of Klein getting his future read by that animal trainer, that wasn't the C word. That wasn't coincidence. Sorry. No. I think it was coincidence. I misspoke. Because pulling the full guard was a coincidence. Because it has nothing to do with ints. Right? That sequence of events had nothing to do with ints and his goals. It's to do more with the grey fog. And I think it was just a random coincidence where he got the fool card, and that's why he chose the fool in the grey fog. But I also think that the fool has a connection to the seer pathway as well. I think all the tarot cards have, and I think that Roselle created them on purpose. One more chapter today. I was thinking, I gave this idea in the first, first in the dub reaction, that maybe sequence 1 on the seer pathway is called the Fool. That's one of my theories, right? Because of the Fool card, even though the Fool has a 0 on its card in Loanese, it's like 1, but it means 0. So that means it's like the lowest in that set of cards, right? So that's why it might be sequence 1, because sequence 0 is not a thing. What I think so far. Anyway, the club. Let's continue reading. Under the scorching of June. Okay. As he went down the Daffodil Street, he strolled toward Iron Cross Street, where he passed by the square around the corner. He subsequently took a glance. The tents had already vanished. The circus troupe from before had left after finishing the performance. Klein imagined, blah blah blah. I read this before. However, none of that happened. She left for the next stop in the tour with a circus troupe. How can there be so many cliché tropes? Klein shook his head while grimacing a smile. He turned toward Iron Cross Street. Iron Cross Street was not characterized by just a single street like its name suggested. It was formed by 2 roads that crossed each other. And in IRL Tarot Club, the Fool can be either 0 or 1. Okay, thank you. That's a big info, guys. Username. You're assisting me. By the way, this is a normal assist. Give me an assist. Because this is like clarifying something that's not spoilery, right? So thank you. It's actually kind of explained. I would love if you come up with yourself why. Nightwalker, can you expand what you mean? Anyway. Next one. At the intersection at its core, it was split into Left Street, Right Street, Upper Street, and Lower Street. Klein, Benson, and Melissa previously lived on Lower Street. However, the residents living at this former apartment and the surrounding area did not think of the area as Lower Street. Instead, they created the term Middle Street. By doing so, they made a clear difference between those staying there and the poor who lived 100 meters down the road. A bedroom was occupied by a bedroom was occupied by 5 or 6 people, and sometimes even up to 10. Bye, Luvian. Why he gets the Fool card? Okay. I'm gonna remember your comment, Nightwalker. Klein walked along the periphery of Left Street. As he left his mind wander, he recalled Antigono's family notebook and how it was missing. He thought of it as importance of Nighthawks and thought of the deaths that resulted from it. His heart slowly turned heavy as his face turned ashen. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded. Lad. Oh, Klein. Klein turned his head curiously and found himself by a Smurmin bakery entrance. Mrs. Wendy, with a head of grey hair, was greeting him with a wave and warm smile. You don't look very happy. You don't look very happy, Wendy asked genially. Klein rubbed his face and said, a little. Because he got fooled by the peace team. Funny. Regardless of your worries, tomorrow will always come, said Mrs. Wendy with a smile. Here, try out my newly created sweet iced tea. I'm not sure if it suits the palate of the locals. Locals, aren't you the one, Mrs. Smarin? Klein shook his head in amusement. Trying out something means it's free, right? Of course, Klein. Wendy's Marion raised her chin a little and said, "You guessed it right. I'm a southerner." "Oh, really? I came to Tingham with my husband, but was more like 40 years ago. Back then, Pinson was not born yet. Even your parents did not know each other." I've always been a little unaccustomed to the dietary preferences of northerners. I'm always missing my hometown food. I miss pork sausages, potato bread, roasted pancakes, vegetables, fried in lard, and roasted meat with specialty sauces. Oh, I also missed sweet iced tea. Glensoff used a smile when he heard that. "Mrs. Mervyn, this sure is a topic that makes me hungry, but I feel a lot better. Thank you very much." "Delicacies always cure sorrow." Wendy handed him a cup of brownish red liquid. "This is sweet iced tea I made according to my memories. Try it and tell me if it's nice." After thanking her, Klein took a sip and found it resembling ice black tea from Earth. Ooh, nice. However, it was not as stimulating. The taste of tea was stronger and felt more refreshing. Instantly expelled the heat brought by the burning sun. "It's excellent," he marveled. That puts me at ease." Wendy smiled with squinted eyes as he watched him finish the cup tea in genial manner. After chatting with Mrs. Murren about his moving, Klein returned to the street he was most familiar with. There were far fewer street-side hawkers in the afternoon. They gathered again after 5:30. The ones that stayed behind looked drowsy and listless. "No luck, I'm sorry." The moment he entered the area, Klein's heart suddenly felt overwhelmed by darkness. His heart felt heavy, down and gloomy for an inexplicable lesson. "What's happening?" He suddenly sensed something wrong about himself. He immediately stopped and observed his surroundings, but did not see anything strange. After some thought, Klein raised his hand and tapped his clabella like he was thinking. Okay, this is a reasonable development, right? The extent of his vision immediately transformed. The aura of hawkers and pedestrians all appeared. Okay. Is he being watched by another member of the Secret Order, maybe? Before Klein could observe the colors of their health, his attention was pulled away by the colors of the gloominess. He was unable to determine the exact thoughts of the observed, but the respondent apathetic and gloomy impression was deeply carved into his heart. As he surveyed the area, he realized that even the sun could not disperse those dark colors. It was a sense of gloom that tainted them from years of repression. Upon seeing this, Klein instantly understood the reason. As is all Neil said, activating his spirit vision easily pulled him into unfamiliar environments and made him feel discomfort. It's also easy for him to be affected by emotions of others. Okay, interesting. A similar principle would be used to an ability like perception. This was ability he obtained without additional practice after becoming a seer. Ooh, a passive sense that could not be declined. It allowed him to directly sense the existence of anything abnormal. Clabella mentioned again, yep. So, perception, basically he can... what was it? One of the Shippies in Divination Club, like the bird pooping with that guy. He doesn't have foresight, but he has perception, you know what I mean? So, it's just passively unlocked it. He didn't have to, like, attend Neil's mysticism classes to, like, learn about it. Or did he? There's bound to be a level of interaction when perceiving things. Therefore, in the beyond their eyes of someone like a spirit medium, the intensity of everyone's perception is clear. It's like a fire in the night, therefore people with higher perspectivity were naturally affected by the intense atmosphere of anything abnormal. It could only be repeated practice to grasp, control and adapt to such outcomes. Interesting. Such as repressed color is probably formed over extended periods of time, right? Klein sighed as he shook his head, feeling somewhat affected. He tapped his clapella twice again and tried hard to converge his spirituality. Tap, tap, tap. Klein walked toward the apartment and sensed for any abnormal existence or tiny connections while he was searching for the Antigonus family's notebook, which he had hidden. The streets were the same as usual. There was a filthy water and trash on the street. It was only cleared up when he reached the apartment's entrance. Klein pushed open the half-closed door and circled the first floor. the darkness that the sunlight could not reach. The wooden stairs creaked constantly and she went up them. Second floor was a dim as always. Klein released his perception and looked into the darkness. However, not only did he fail to discover any clues regarding the notebook, he even failed to see any invisible spiritual bodies. Okay. If it's so easy to encounter them, most ordinary people would not have already sensed the existence of extraordinary matters. Klein sighed in reflection. This perception is more having a feeling about something. Yeah, it's not like foresight. Foresight is like you can tell the future, right? It's like you have to have you have a feeling about something and make like a calculation that this might happen, right? In your head. It already understood that most spirits did not exist in the form of spiritual bodies, but in the form of spirituality. Only a spirit medium could effectively communicate with them. After circling the third floor, once Klein left the apartment and retraced his memory footsteps towards Welch's place. He walked for a full hour but did not discover anything along the way. Standing outside the crated bungalow, Klein looked at the building through the locked iron gates and mumbled to himself. Not like that. Perception is the process by which your brain organizes and identifies and interprets sensory information from your environment to understand the world around you. That's what I meant by calculation. It's like your senses. Foresight is like seeing future, that's what I said. I said foresight is like seeing future, that's not what perception is. That's not kind as high perception but not foresight. Right? What's up, Rosmaline? After circling the third floor once, Klein left the apartment and retraced his memories footsteps towards Welch's place. He walked for a full hour, did not discover anything along the way. Standing outside the garden bungalow, Klein looked at the building through the locked iron gates and mumbled to himself. There's no need for him to search Welch's place, right? Captain and Madame Daly must have done a carpet search of the place. Besides, I don't have the key. They can't expect me to climb the walls, right? I'll run her bath tomorrow. I walked so much today, but there's also no step counter rankings. He wants to get on that app, you know? What's that app for, like, cyclists? While lampooning, Klein returned to the nearby district. He planned on taking a public carriage to Blackstone Security Company to retrieve his daily allocation of 30 bullets. He needed to make use of his time and practice. Guess danger precognition. A serious lack of quick and effective offensive means could only be made up with his revolver and cane. True. Line is on point with that. The street around Welch's place was relatively clean. Shops with clean and bright windows lined the two sides of the street. At the turn of the street, Klein was just about to seek out the carriage stop when his gaze swept past a few signboards on the second floor. Harrods Department Store, Military Veterans Mess, Divination Club. Divination Club! Let's go! Klein silently repeated the name and recalled that he had to act as seer. Yes, I should take a look and seek out new ideas. Amid his mixed thoughts, Klein went across the street and went to the second floor and entered the main foyer to see a beautiful female attendant. The feelings he got before maybe was because of the Aurora Order, because I think the Aurora Order is like also tracking Klein and spying on him, right? The woman with coiled brownish yellow hair sized up Klein before saying with a smile, "Sir, do you wish to have your fortune told, or do you wish to join our club?" "What are the conditions for entry?" asked Klein casually. The woman explained with great familiarity. "Fill in your particulars and pay an annual membership fee. The first year is £5, and subsequent years will be £1 a year. Don't worry, we're not like political or business clubs which allow entry through recommendations from formal members. Formals can freely use the club's meeting room and various divination rooms and tools. You can enjoy the coffee and tea we provide and read the newspaper and magazines. We subscribe for free. They can buy lunch, dinner and alcoholic beverages at cost price, as well as education materials and materials needed for divination. In addition, we invite at least one famous fortune teller to lecture every month to answer any questions. most importantly, you can find a bunch of friends with the same hobbies and have an exchange with them. Sounds pretty good, but I do not have the money. Klein gave a self-deprecating smile before asking, then what if I want my fortune told? Ooh, that's cool. So we get an introduction to the divination lab, right? Also, I'm pretty sure he can reimburse the purchase or the annual fee, because he can say to the Nighthawks that, oh, I'm just doing this because, you know, it helps me learn about the Antigono's notebook or whatever, right? You can just do that. It helps me in my research. Work expense, yeah. Reimbursement. Anyway, this was a great set of chapters. We read 7 chapters today. Is there any artificial drag to you? Also, a reminder, there's a poll going on right now. Go vote. The poll is between... I'm gonna show it from here. Poll is between Apothecary Diaries, Musako Tensei, Monster, and Give Me Something Else. We're gonna do like 4 balls. Also, I will post my reactions first on Patreon. My votes on Patreon right at the recording, and then like a few, like let's say Patreon's gonna be like 3 weeks ahead, and the votes will go up later on YouTube. No art today. 7 is kind of a small number. Like I said, we're gonna do like 15 to 30 chapters per week, right? And on Sunday we have like an 8-hour stream. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. I really enjoyed reading today. I can't wait for next time. I'm not sure when yet. You can join my Discord to be notified, or also I'll post it on my YouTube 12 to 24 hours before I go live as a reminder. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye bye.